We got a state of emergency declaration in Georgia because apparently now, I think like 40 days on, the violence hasn't stopped. There have now been multiple shootings over the weekend. Far leftists threw firebombs into a police headquarters window, starting a fire. It's been pretty crazy, man. We had the NFAC coalition, black ethno-identitarian, like extremists, marching through Georgia, calling out white militias, saying things like, bring it. And then we have this little girl who was killed at the site of the Rayshard Brooks protests. Georgia has been in total chaos. So now Georgia's going to be deploying 1,000 National Guard troops, and we're going to talk about this. Welcome to the IRL podcast, TimcastIRL. Starting pretty heavy, man. It's getting crazy out there, and you'd think at some point things would calm down. I think a lot of people don't realize the media starts ignoring some of these stories because people get desensitized, but the rioting hasn't stopped across this country. Anyway, I am hanging out tonight with my friends, as most of you know. We got this guy.
It's me, this guy.
What's
up, everybody?
This guy over here.
Adam Krigler here. Hey, what up?
We got this lady sitting over here doing something.
Hello, I have a pen in my hand. Sour Patch Lids. I'm producing over here.
And
I've got a pen in my hand.
We got a lot to talk about.
I like that declaration.
We have a lot.
It's very important.
We have a lot to talk about here.
Yes.
This is a rare collector's item.
Get that out of here.
It's absolutely amazing. Okay, so listen, my friends.
That is subjective.
No. What for those that are listening, because you can't see, I'm building suspense on purpose, but people watching are probably laughing already. This is the Washington Redskins fan pack Ziploc bag series, and I had to buy it. You know why? Because the Redskins are going to change their name. Apparently, I got flagged on YouTube for hate speech demonetization for talking about the Redskins.
Seriously?
And they won't overturn it.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's
so
what the problem
we're
was.
probably demonetized just for me showing you these regular old Ziploc bags you can get at the store.
Cool.
Cancel
Now
Ziploc.
There's a reason why I bought these. There's a reason. Not only was there concern that they're going to change their name because of all the Black Lives Matter stuff and the intersectionalism, I wanted to make sure I could get my hands on a product that represented the Washington Redskins before the name was erased. Because I'll tell you what, in 20 or 30 years, I'm going to be showing this up. You're like, check this out, man. Like, this is what it used to be,
I had to stifle a yawn right there.
It's gonna be in like my curio cabinet of all my rare banned items and
Cool.
fine china.
Wow.
But here's the best part. As it is,
You don't have fine china.
Ziploc bag. I know. Listen. This is Ziploc bags, okay?
Yes.
Which means the box itself is a collector's item, but within this collector's item are 20 individual collector's items because each bag has the Redskins logo.
So cool.
It's like a Russian nesting doll of collector's items.
Nice.
And to be completely honest, how absolutely absurd is this?
It's pretty.
They sell Ziploc bags for every. I mean, I guess it kind of makes sense if you're having a barbecue and you want your team, like your favorite team, and you put chips in it and you give them out or something. Sure. I don't know what it is people do at the Super Bowl, but hey, they're gonna change the name. So we got a lot of important stuff to talk about.
Where is this made?
And the goal of me showing that was just to make you all laugh for a second before we talk about.
You know where this was made?
Where was it made?
Guess.
China.
No.
No. It wasn't made in China. Where was it made?
Was it Mexico?
Oh, okay.
Still not America.
Yep.
So wait, hold on. Is it offensive then? It was made by Mexicans.
Oh, I don't know.
Whoa. What are you implying there, Tim?
Does that cancel
Whoa.
out?
Because
Whoa.
they're a marginalized group.
Yeah.
Okay. So they're allowed.
Only white people are racist.
Right. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right. Yeah,
It's-
I was
it's-
told today because I'm white, I'm not allowed to have an opinion.
Welcome to the party, brother.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. That's not going to work. It's not going
listen.
to work for me.
You have one thing going for you. You work for a minority-owned company.
That's right.
I should have said that. I should have countered right away. Well, hey,
You?
I work for my boss is a minority.
The smallest
so.
minority.
Yeah. The CEO of my company, see? Yeah. And actually now I'm allowed to own these as an oppressed person myself.
Right.
I'm not oppressed. This is so stupid. I grew up in the greatest country on the planet.
That's right.
You know, what people don't realize is that, I explain this to people having traveled the world,
Mm-hmm.
a homeless person in the United States is wealthier than like your average person in like a third world country.
Yep.
Or in say like Morocco, in that a homeless person has access to clean drinking water. There are laws about this. Like they can walk into a store and get clean water. They can use the bathrooms,
Yep.
especially with like Starbucks. But more importantly, I'm not saying they're in a good position, and we definitely want to make sure we can help them out and lift them up. But I tell you what, man, a homeless person can sit down in, I know this for a fact, you could sit down in Chicago and go to sleep and wake up with $200 cash. I'm not saying they're in a good position, Okay, I'm just saying that Americans really have it good. That even you know what's one of the funniest things I ever read? America is such a great country. Our homeless people are overweight. Have you noticed? Have you ever know about that?
I haven't heard that statement before, but
we have
I mean, I lived in New York, I lived in LA, I lived in many prominent cities that I've seen a lot of homeless people, and I guess that you're right. I don't see a lot of no. I'm not
saying
thin homeless. It's not really
they exist.
Yeah, sure.
I'm just saying, like,
but the majority of them.
Not even the majority. We have overweight homeless people.
Yeah.
Like, that's how wealthy we are.
Yes,
so we
point.
I mean, that's also kind of an indictment on the country. Like, seriously, we can't get houses for people, but we're wealthy enough to keep them fat.
Right.
There's a lot of issues there. Anyway, if you are just tuning in, there's one thing you must do, and that's
smash the like button. Smash it. Yes.
Apparently, this only matters on YouTube, so people listening on the podcast on like iTunes or something are like, I have no button. I can't smash any buttons.
But
there's no button to smash.
I'm gonna accept that in spirit they are mentally smashing the like button, and I will accept it.
Wait.
I accept mental smash.
If you're listening on the podcast, smash that leave a review button and write a 5-star review saying we're a great podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not gonna say
button.
that one.
Doesn't have the same ring.
I'm just gonna stick with smash the like button. Easier.
And you can also smash the subscribe button.
Yep.
And you can follow me at Timcast, Twitter and Instagram, as well as you can follow at Adam Krigler and at Sour Patch Lids.
Woohoo, yes.
Right there, that's me.
Oh, yeah.
And then, no.
Oh, wait, here, yeah.
Boop, boop, boop. I've been seeing a lot more rhetoric on this. We are in a civil war.
I feel like I see what you're saying, Tim, but I still don't believe it. I don't believe we are.
I think the issue is that people expect it to look like it did in the 1800s.
Yeah.
Or in, say, like the early 1900s in other countries. And I think the real issue is that technology has changed the face of what civil war actually is.
Okay.
So there was an article coming out from the Brookings Institute today that said Donald Trump was calling Confederates heroes in his July 4th speech. And I'm like, that's such an obvious lie to anybody who actually listened to Trump's speech.
Yep, which
I
did, and that's absolutely not the truth.
It's not. And Trump announced the Garden of Heroes,
yep,
which was not Confederates at all. It was Amelia Earhart,
right,
Harriet Tubman, right? I think even Frederick Douglass. And they have the nerve to just brazenly lie. And then I get brought up, I get this question from, I have friends. There's one friend of mine, man, wow, used to be a really nice person. Believed in the Socratic method. This is the craziest thing to me. A friend of mine, high profile on the left.
Okay.
You're familiar with the Socratic method for you definitely know what that is.
Yeah.
You want to explain it basically?
So from my understanding, the Socratic method is just where you simply break things down and ask questions until people can no longer explain themselves, more or less.
It's simply like someone says they believe something.
Okay.
Why do you believe that? Okay. What do you think about this? To understand what they're saying and create the framework to where you can actually discuss these ideas.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, it's one of the most effective ways to communicate with somebody when you're at political odds. This individual has abandoned that and started posting overt leftist identitarian stuff, like really freaky stuff, and has gone full now posting Marxist stuff. And I'm like, how does this happen to people? How does this happen? When I try talking to them, they say,
what?
If that was true, Tim, how come all of these news outlets are saying, X? And I'm like, I don't know. Yeah. But listen, just watch Trump's speech.
Yeah, listen to him yourself.
The Confederates heroes.
I saw an interesting tweet. They're saying if you think for yourself, that's great. But if you think what you think because of the news, you're thinking someone else's thought process, not your own. It's like make your own thought process.
So I think the big issue is everyone's waiting for that moment when two groups are wearing armor and they're like marching through the streets.
Yeah, to fight each other.
But I think we're in the era of persuasive wars where you don't win by subjecting someone to force. You win by manipulating them and getting them to say yes or no. I mean, it's a good thing. I mean, I'd rather live in a world where our wars are arguments.
Yeah.
But we do have a bit of violence, and maybe it escalates into an overt hot war when all this communication breaks down. But there have been a lot of people posting about it, some high-profile pundits. Mm-hmm. The rhetoric has increased. And a lot of people are saying to me, we're in it, we're in it, we're in it. I'm getting emails from people saying the same thing. And I think from the perspective of manipulation, lies, deception, to trick people into supporting certain ideologies and tear things down, yeah, it makes sense. So, that's the easiest way I can look at it. When you have high-profile institutions that are crossing their fingers, hoping you will never listen to Donald Trump speak.
Yep.
They can say whatever they want, and you will believe it.
That's true. And that's what we're seeing it. I mean, at least me personally, I'm seeing it all the time.
And how many people do you know have now adopted this insane ideology of all white people are racist?
There's a good many of them. I face it ever since I don't know what, a month ago, when I was like, yeah, I'm going to vote for Trump, because I'm actually listening to him speak myself. I hear what he's saying, and I see how everybody else is saying whatever they want to say about him, but it doesn't make any sense because I'm actually listening to him myself. I've been vocalizing this and getting flack from people that I knew, that I thought that this are the people we're talking about now. And I'm like, oh, you know what? Let me I'll do the research. Explain it to me. I go on their page and I'm looking, and it's always the same kind of thing. It's the memes that have no source. It's just like Trump's face and like a bunch of words, and it's like, okay, but I know that that's spun from the mainstream media article that I read, that I proved myself it was wrong because I watched the speech that they were talking about, and then that's the entirety of their pages is all that. It's just what?
Part of it, I think, is the corruption of media.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
A good example is, and we're going to talk about this. We're going to do a fuller segment on this probably later.
And the racializing of media, they do that all the time, and I can't stand it.
Yeah, they create
a white man does this, a black man does that, a Mexican man does this other thing, and it's like they're all men, each and every one of them.
There's that guy who hit the protesters on the highway, right?
Exactly. Yep. White supremacists.
Well,
right out the gates.
The first thing they try and say was a targeted attack. It did not look like an accident, said one protester. They swerved around the barricade on a closed highway. Now it turns out the likely story is probably just a dude who was not very bright, and he got on the wrong ramp, and he swerved and he hit somebody. Yep. It's just like there's not much to it.
Yeah,
but listen.
Go ahead.
Here's what ends up happening with the media. The first thing that happens is the video comes out. You can see they're all staying on the highway with vehicles blocking them. And the car is coming around a curve, tries to dodge the vehicles in the middle of the road, then tries to dodge the people on the shoulder.
Clearly
hits two people, right. And then two people were still standing in the road, and he hits them. Here's what ends up happening. The police said, we think he may have gone up an exit ramp. We think he may have gone the wrong way up an exit ramp. And then he drove around the blockade from the protesters, hitting two protesters. From that statement, other journalists recycle it instead of actually getting a quote themselves and say he was driving the wrong way on the highway around a blockade. So then what ends up happening is these leftists are imagining in their head this crazy white supremacist guy pulling up to the roadblock and going and driving around it to get on the highway, slamming the gas and going and he speeds towards them and then swerves to hit them.
Yep.
When in reality, likely just some dumb guy. So I pull up an article from the Washington Post that literally said, in the video, you see him speeding the wrong way up an exit ramp, crash into the protesters or something like that.
Wow.
And I'm like, the Washington Post. So at what point do we got to play Hanlon's razor? Never attribute to malice that which can be explained by incompetence. But at what point do we invert that? Never attribute to incompetence that which can be explained by malice.
Yeah.
At a certain point, these journalists have to know. I mean, he said you can see in the video.
Yeah.
Did he not watch the video?
They must not have, because I know I watched the video, and it's very clear he tries to avoid them.
So here's what we end up seeing. If the journalist lied and didn't actually watch the video, that's malicious. He's lying to you. He didn't actually do the work.
Yep, agreed.
If he did watch the video and he knows it's not true, he's lying to you.
Exactly.
At which point this is malicious. They are manipulating you on purpose. And that graduates up to the next level, where you end up with, say, the Brookings Institute saying, why is Trump calling the Confederates heroes and all this stuff, which is just 100% lie.
So George Washington was a Confederate?
Yep. When Trump specifically said in his speech, George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, Ulysses Grant, and he like slurred on it. Okay, I know who those people are. Those are good people.
Yeah.
And then the media says Confederates. When did Trump say anything? They're lying.
Yeah, he didn't say anything.
This is why there was a tweet from some verified accounts. High profile conservative commentators were saying we're in a civil war. Dan Lash said they've been calling it a revolution. They've never been shy about it. And what people don't understand, and the reason why I say this, is that it's asymmetrical information, propagandistic, fourth and fifth generational, whatever you want to call it. You have to realize that these far leftists know full well they can't run around with guns shooting people. because that will make them look bad and it will destroy their cause.
That's true.
They have to use propaganda and manipulation tactics, infiltration techniques, subversion, and they've been doing it, and it's working. To the point now where you can have dozens of high-profile verified journalists saying, Donald Trump today heralded the Confederates as real heroes of America. And then the same publications, the New York Times says, what did one op-ed said? I'm a descendant of Thomas Jefferson, take down his memorial. You have the other guy saying, yes, even George Washington. They will publish those articles and then turn around and just blindly look at you and say, no one's tearing down Thomas Jefferson. Trump's lying to you.
So
Right.
weird.
It's like Stepford Wives level,
Yep,
you
I
know,
agree.
walking up like robot women. Join us. Google
Creepy.
gobble, man.
Don't give me that look, please.
The look, the crazy eyes.
Yeah. Do it to the camera next if you're going to do
Show
it. All right.
everybody.
So here's what I'm trying to get to. I think maybe civil war is not even the word people should use, but it's the word people are using right now, today. Like it was a guy from Red State who brought it up.
Okay.
Whatever it is, you have people who are literally calling for the destruction of. You know, they tore down Frederick Douglass. This one really made me angry.
I agree completely. I've been doing a lot of research on him, and
He's a rad dude.
he is. He's great. He's had a lot of amazing things to say, and it's like I bet none of those people has ever heard anything he had to say, or
I
knew
don't
who he
know.
was, because they
No, I think
wouldn't
they
have
do.
ripped down his statue.
No, they do. They know who he is.
Right.
And you know why they tore him down?
Right.
Because he's a proponent for freedom.
That's true.
And they want to erase that.
Yeah,
This is what I was
absolutely.
talking about. This is my main segment today. So for those that aren't familiar, Frederick Douglass was a freed slave. He escaped, actually. Not free. I'm sorry. He escaped. He worked with Harriet Tubman on the Underground Railroad. And there's this really great video I was watching. It's actually from PragerU, where they mentioned one of his quotes where he challenged Americans to look themselves in the mirror, figuratively, at their own constitution that said, you know, all men are created equal. Will you hold yourself up to those standards of your own government? And people got angry about it. So this dude basically, as I describe it, watered the tree of liberty that was planted by the founding fathers.
Yep.
Because it wasn't perfect. And this guy set us on the right path. Guess what? We won because of people like him, like our
Absolutely.
ideas, our freedom, our liberty.
Yep.
He was another individual who stood up for freedom, individualism, liberty, liberalism, in the
Boom.
true sense, not modern use of the word liberalism. And that's why I think they got to tear him down, because he is a threat to far leftist, communist, socialist, whatever ideology.
Mm-hmm.
These people say they're Marxist, right? Well, you can't have someone like Frederick Douglass who was preaching freedom and literally fighting to free people who had been enslaved.
Exactly.
And so they tear him down. Now, to be fair, we don't know who tore him down.
Well, I'm sure it wasn't. Honestly, I doubt it was anybody that had anything to do with the Black Lives Matter movement, unless it was the Antifa that were like jumping in behind them.
I hate to say it, man.
Steering them.
Black Lives Matter has been totally hijacked.
I
we're-
mean, we'll see.
Have you
I don't know.
It has.
I see a lot of things coming out of who the leaders are, and it's not what I would have thought what Black Lives Matter means.
So we had, I think it was Minneapolis, and I can't remember the other place. I did a segment on this too, and London. Two high-profile organizers quit, saying straight up, they've hijacked the movement. They're talking about abolishing capitalism. What is this?
Right.
That's not what Black Lives Matter was supposed to be. And honestly, like if you look back, because I remember covering these protests, it was specifically about police brutality.
Right.
Now they're talking about weird abolishing the police. Yeah, that's just their in. They've taken the brand. You know that there was a guy who started a foundation called Black Lives Matter in California. He's
Okay.
raised hundreds of thousands of dollars. He pays himself $24,000 a year. And he said his goal is to work with the police and do community building events where the people can go have a picnic with cops. So it brings people together.
That's awesome.
So BuzzFeed did an investigation, and now a bunch of his fundraising has been suspended so that the real organization,
Oh, of course.
the Marxists,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, so
So-
I actually got into an argument with some people on Facebook. This happens all the time. I'm actually starting to enjoy it. Because, no, I'll explain why. It's because I am furthering my own knowledge. Because they will come at me, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to further myself. I'm going to read what you're giving to me. I'm going to look up my own side of things and see what the deal is. And then I continue the conversation, which is what I'm trying to have. They keep trying to have this argument with me. And they're talking about the bill that was trying to be passed.
Which one?
By the Republicans.
The reform
police
bill.
reform bill.
Yeah, Tim Scott was leading that, wasn't he?
Yeah, and they were all saying it wasn't enough. We need more. And I'm like, you know what? Let me dig into this bill. What's in this bill that wasn't enough? What is it? You know? And I'm looking, and I actually have pretty much the list.
So let's quick context.
Go ahead.
The Black Lives Matter movement says we want to defund the police.
Right.
they then say, no, we don't mean abolish outright, though some do. We're talking about just, reform.
Right.
So the Republicans offered up a reform bill
Yeah.
led by Senator Tim Scott. They rejected it and even dropped in a racial slur, a passive racial slur, which Tim Scott got really mad about that. But anyway, that's the context. So now Adam's arguing with people.
Well, so I read it and I'm like, you know what is it about that they don't think is enough? I'm just going to read. There's some bullet points basically listing some of the things this bill covers. Chokeholds are discouraged, disincentivized, increased data collection on the use of force, increased records retention, no-knock warrant tracking, make lynching a federal crime, include increasing penalties for false police reports, enhance funding for body cams, study on social status of black men and boys, funding for training on alternate uses of force, de-escalation, and duty to intervene, banning sexual abuse by law enforcement, and African American History Museum to train law enforcement on the history of racism.
Wow.
I wasn't even expecting that last one.
That is a heavy cultural concession from Republicans.
But look at that list. Where do you let people start making a fix if you're not even gonna say this wasn't enough?
Wait, hold on. The Republicans proposed
Right.
a museum.
That's correct.
A Black History Museum for cultural training.
That is correct for police officers.
Wow.
So now when these people are arguing with me, telling me it wasn't enough, and I go, I read the bill. How many of you have read the bill?
Gone.
This was days ago.
Mic drop.
Guess how many responded to me?
None.
That's correct. None of them have responded to me since. But every single thing I posted on this thread of conversation was just I had 18 different people just coming at me, and I'm like, I'll read it all. Bring me the information that you're getting, and I'll read it. And then I'm like, you know what? Here, boom. Here's the bill. What about this do you not like? What about this did you think wasn't enough? We got to start somewhere. This is a great start as far as I'm concerned. This is great.
Yeah.
It's informing more police officers about the history that we have in this country. It's like, all right, so
you know that Republican conservative voters all over Twitter were mad about this. They said Republicans were basically giving in to the left's demands, but the Democrats reject it.
Yes.
And I'm not even going to repeat the word. It's not the worst word in the world. But who was it? Was it Schumer? No, it wasn't Schumer. Who said this?
Nadler.
Nadler?
I think it was. Yeah, I believe.
Man.
No, I don't think it was Nadler.
I'm not sure who said it. 'Cause
They-
I didn't even know that
they-
happened. The slur.
Yeah. It was a slur. I'm not going to repeat, and it's not the worst. I probably YouTube would probably allow me to say it. I'm not gonna because Tim Scott was the one standing up there, and I think he's the only black Republican.
Okay.
So when he was the one leading the charge on this, they made a comment about his race passively.
Yeah. Okay.
And he got mad about it.
It was. Dick
I don't
Durbin.
blame him
It was
at
Dick
all.
Durbin?
I don't
Yeah,
blame him
sorry.
at all.
Scumbag.
And the more I dig it, the more it is the Democrats that are perpetuating all this. It's like they don't want this to pass because that's not first, maybe they're not the ones that proposed it. They're like, well, we can't take the credit for this, so
I need to fact check this.
It's insane.
'Cause maybe you can look this up. But there's a meme image going around. I think it's Booker T. Washington, where he said that there are certain people who have figured out how to essentially I'm paraphrasing, monetize the grievances of marginalized people. And this
That
is
sounds like
Wow.
Sowell, honestly.
but I mean,
Thomas
this is
Sowell,
it's
yeah.
supposedly like Booker T. back in the day.
Oh, really?
Yeah, being like, these people know that they can use this for pity, and they could. So you fact check me on that one. But yeah, man. Look, it's cliche at this point almost to be like the Democrats are the real racists,
Right.
But if they're asking for police reform and the Republicans immediately said yes, and it includes a Black History Museum, I'm like,
Yep.
whoa,
Right.
wow, and that wasn't enough.
Wasn't enough. It's like, okay, well, why
What do they really want?
Well, what I don't get that argument at all because they could have passed the bill and then said we should also start working on these other things that you obviously think it's not enough, so you obviously think there's more that needs to be done. Okay, well, what about this bill did you not like? Was not a good start?
It was the R next to the names of those who proposed it.
Exactly.
Deadlock, man.
I start looking into it more. It's like the crime bill of 1994, this whole controversy of
Was that Biden?
Biden was
Yeah.
a big part of it, and it's like it was a Democratic thing, and it was just like, let me read into this. Let me, and I actually have it pulled up here. I'm just going to read this. This blew me away that this was part of this. The elimination of higher education for inmates. That's part of the bill.
Wow.
You are not allowed to have a higher education now from in jail, whereas before you could further yourself. You could finish education and walk out of there as a a better civilian, that you're able to find a job because you turned being incarcerated into something better. It's like, I thought that's what we're supposed to be. We're trying to keep people in there.
Rehabilitate.
Yeah, it's like
not retribution.
Yeah, people like to put you on one bracket. Either you're in the left or the right. And it's like, no. I am for helping everybody, and this is ridiculous. And the fact that Biden was like standing by it, and now he's, man, I can't believe people aren't freaking out more on this man.
For those that don't know, Adam had a rant about how he, as kind of a moderate default liberal, like these are words I'm
no, that's fine. So
but
they've
Adam
been calling me a liberal. So.
But you were like just like an urban dwelling New Yorker, hippie vegan gamer skater.
Yeah,
basically. And you had this rant about how you were going to vote for Trump, and Facebook deleted it from like
multiple times, from multiple sources,
with millions upon millions of views.
Yep, it's true.
And I have no idea why. I reached out to some of the people like, what happened? No one seems to have an answer.
Yep.
But I look at Project Veritas. They did an expose where these people at Facebook are like, if I see a guy wearing a MAGA hat, I'm deleting it. And so sure enough, what happens? You get this dude, Adam, talking about, I started reading into this stuff and listening to Trump, and all of a sudden I'm like, whoa, boom, axed. They can't have you talking about that.
Nope.
But this is why I'm saying, about, civil war, whatever you want to call it. You're one of the most dangerous people to speak up about this.
Maybe.
Because
bring it on.
Regular
Yeah,
skateboarding, vegan, Brooklynite, whatever, dude, all of a sudden being like, whoa, I listened to what Trump had to say and the media was lying about it.
Yep.
And then what? Uh-oh.
I was
People
told
are
today,
listen.
I'm not allowed to have a voice. I'm not allowed to talk about the issues today because I'm not black. It's
Bro,
like,
you're gonna get banned
that's
from
ridiculous.
everywhere.
That's ridiculous. You can't blame white people on the issues that you claim are happening and not have them be a part of the conversation. That doesn't make any sense to me. Terry Crews. For Terry Crews,
seriously,
you are amazing. He speaks the truth. We have to do this together. We gotta work together. I see the issues that the Democrats, that not only the Democrats, like I don't even want to just keep saying Democrats, because there's a lot of people in charge that are making choices for their own means and not for the general well-being of everybody.
This is the challenge, man. I hate to say it, because I've tried doing I get it. There are Democrats who are trying to do the right thing, and it's true, but the whole system is rotten. It's just rotten.
I agree. Yep.
I can't tell you, man. Every single what does Nancy Pelosi do? What does Dick Durbin say? They just keep playing the same game.
Yep.
They don't care about actually solving these problems. They make them worse. And it's like they just care for their personal power.
And all those people that you just named, all these people that have been in government for 30, 40, 50 years. 50 years. It's insane. 50 years?
Yep.
Think about what 50 years ago was.
Civil rights movement?
Exactly. There was one TV that everyone got their information from. They were like, this is what the people need to think. And you can kind of get the vibe that they're like losing their grasp on that. We're all connected because of the internet. Like, look at us right now. We got 45,000 people sitting here with us. Thank you for joining us, mind you.
Holy cow, welcome,
it's amazing.
Everyone.
And you know what? It's like, because people want to know. They want to have a conversation. They want to figure it out.
That's why we're going to get banned.
Most people are not racist. Most people are in this era of we are.
Listen,
it's your character. It's your heart. It's the weight of the heart that matters the most.
This is why I said in the beginning of the segment, Civil War. The tearing down of Frederick Douglass to me was like, look, when they tore down the Confederates, I went, well, hold on there a minute. It's like, you shouldn't be doing this. Hey, let's have a vote about these things. Have a democratic process.
Right.
I don't like the Confederates at all.
Right.
Then they went for Thomas Jefferson, and I was like, whoa, hold on. Then they went for Washington and Grant, and I was like, yo. Then they went for Frederick Douglass, and I wanted to swing a fist. I'm like, yo, dude. Yo.
They have no idea. They have no idea what he did, what the things he had to go through to do to become who he became, and to say what he was saying. That was oppression. He fought oppression.
Hans Christian Heg, I think the name was. He was a Union soldier, colonel, I think, and he died fighting for the Union side, and they desecrated and destroyed his statue and threw it in the river, and I got mad about that.
Yeah.
And that's when I'm like, these people clearly don't care. But I tell you what, man, the mask is off with Frederick Douglass. Hands down,
Yep.
This dude was like, He's supposed to embody what they claim to be fighting for. They show pictures of Harriet Tubman. Nah, they're lying, man. They want to tear down the people who fought for freedom, liberty, individualism, who upheld the words laid down by the founding fathers and challenge us to hold ourselves to a better standard. They're trying to destroy it. And when Donald Trump comes out and says there's a leftist cultural revolution that seeks to erase our history, and the media lies and says Trump is heralding Confederates, I'm like, at a certain point, it is not an accident.
Right.
So I can still say a lot of these people are really dumb. But when you have people in media, the question is, when they claim to have watched the video, they're either lying to us, which is malicious, or they're lying about watching the video, or they're lying about what the video was.
Both are malicious.
Both are malicious.
They're simply malicious now.
They're manipulators.
Absolutely.
Look, the best I can say about what's happening is that we have literal media grifters who are thinking, this will give me clicks. Like the woman with the gun at the Chipotle, right?
Yep, you're right.
All of the false framing of what really happened with that situation to make us think we got a Karen on our hands.
Right.
I think there are far leftist organizations. I know some of them. I've talked to them. They've explained this stuff to me. They exist. If you want to know their names and find out who these people are, follow Andy No on Twitter, Andy NGO. He covers this better than I do, and he'll show you their names. He'll explain who they are and what they do. They just found some guy in Portland, because they've been rioting for 40 days or whatever now. He had pipe bombs.
Yeah, I saw
He had
that.
explosive materials.
Andy No is the meme where you got the big jack dog, and they're like journalists back in the 40s.
Right,
they're like,
right.
they'll handle anything. And then journalists now, it's like, oh, I've got a boo-boo, and
Someone should make
this is
that,
why
right.
transgender rights are real. And it's
Well,
like,
here-
Andy No, hold on, I just want to finish this. Andy No is a classic, I'm going to go and get the truth, and I don't care what happens to me.
Yeah,
and he's
man.
been beat up.
They lie like the funniest thing
Dude
is
is a boss.
there was an incident where he was walking with some right-wing groups.
Okay.
And so they snipped this out of context to prove he was hanging out with them. Why? Because Andy No actually covers who these people are. He drops their names, their police reports, explains what they're doing, what they believe, why they're doing it, and they have to stop him. They brutally beat him in the street because of it, and he's still doing this.
Yep, what a boss.
So you're right. There's that meme of the two dogs. What are they? Are they Shibas?
Yeah,
I think?
I think
And
they're
one super ripped.
Sheba Chad.
Yeah, there's a little scrawny one, and it says journalists in the 30s. I'm gonna get this story. The mafia might kill me, but I'm gonna get this story anyway. And it's all ripped. And then today it's like someone called me a mean word on the internet.
I need a month off.
And so you actually have Andy No saying these people brutally beat me in the streets, but I'm not gonna stop.
He does not stop.
And then you have other journalists today who are like, someone called me a mean word on the internet, and we have very few people who are actually willing to take the risks to challenge these extremist groups. But that's why I think what he does is important. And not just him, there's other people, but he's probably the highest profile, especially I think he lives in the Pacific Northwest. But people don't realize it's the insidious nature of what the far left is doing, trying to make sure that their attacks are blunted so they don't generate too much attention. It's almost like you ever play a stealth video game where you have like a stealth meter.
Yeah.
And if they see you too much, the meter grows, and then finally once it reaches, they see you. Antifa's tactic is that they're lurking around, and they have to make sure that meter doesn't fill all the way up and it goes back down. Okay. So they'll beat someone up in the street. The meter goes up and they stop, lay low. Then it goes back down. They'll beat up Andy No. The meter goes, oh no, everyone sees. Then they wait. Okay. Now we can go again. It's a sustained death. It's a sustained attack, death by 1,000 cuts.
Well, the problem is that they have the whole Black Lives Matter movement to hide behind right now.
Yep.
So it's like they don't have to worry about that as much anymore, because people are now blaming the Black Lives Matter movement, and I'm not saying that they are not without their own faults. Nobody is, but they have that shield, they're using it. They're like, oh, everyone's just, and people are now blaming the Black Lives Matter, and it's just becoming this big mess of like, well, who's who and who's doing what. And it's
Right.
like,
And people and actual Black Lives Matter activists are quitting. And this is something I bring up a lot. If you watch Dave Chappelle's 846 special,
yeah, I saw it.
he doesn't talk about taxing Amazon or Marx or universal health care.
Nope.
He talks about people who got killed by cops. And it's like, I hear you, man. That's awful. Like, that's a violation of the Fifth Amendment rights, along as a whole bunch of other civil liberties.
Yep.
So I'm down to fight for anybody who was unjustly killed. Where do you get that disconnect? It's because the far left found a way in. Using the brand of Black Lives Matter, they have made themselves invincible. Think about it. How many people lose their jobs when they say, I don't agree with this? Actually, a lot. Then the media, that's what I'm talking about, these media lies. There's a viral tweet going around from this journalist guy saying, cancel culture isn't real. It's basically people,
That's a joke,
using their
right?
voices to hold others accountable for being bigots. There was a viral story of a nurse.
Okay.
She made a Facebook video talking about the looting and the violence, saying, I don't support this and I don't support what these people stand for. She gets fired because of it.
It's ridiculous.
We hear this at schools. We hear about people getting expelled. Cancel culture is very real. The problem is, like I said, it's insidious. It's a blunted attack, a death by 1,000 cuts, where they go after people who don't have a strong enough voice to fight back.
Yep.
So when we talk about bias on social media against moderates and conservatives, mostly conservatives, what people, the left tries to play the same game of, look at all these high profile conservatives, people like Ben Shapiro who are doing so well and their voices are so loud. Oh, it's clearly not true. And then what happens is Twitter will ban thousands of regular Trump supporters who will never have a chance to speak up. I've been to events and I can't tell you how many times people have talked to me or sent me messages where they're like, I had 200 followers and I just made some posts, about supporting Trump. And then I got banned. I don't know why. And no one knows because they're not high profile.
Yeah.
So they can basically trim all of these, people off of Twitter and force the conversation in a different direction. This keeps happening. And what do we get? I got to be honest. Hey, it's great that the Republicans offered up that reform. But is the best they can do when statues are being torn down is just agree and say, okay, we'll give you what you want. So what do we have? We have Democrats who are seemingly ignoring all the violence, refuse to condemn Antifa on the far left. In fact, Jerry Nadler says they're imaginary. They don't exist. So yeah, every single police report that Andy Ngo has posted is just magic. He just drew a picture. It's not real.
Yeah.
And then the Republicans, very few of them are actually standing up. So I'm not particularly confident. But let's do this. Now that we got most people here, let's talk right now about what's going on in Atlanta, because the governor, Kemp, has declared a state of emergency, and they're going to be deploying 1,000 National Guard troops.
Wow.
The media is refusing. I'm sorry, this is just the way I see it. The media is refusing to address what's really happening in Atlanta. At the Wendy's where Rayshard Brooks died, there is a sustained and ongoing Black Lives Matter presence.
Yeah.
A little girl was killed.
8 years old.
8 years old, when these armed groups guarding a parking lot across the street from the Wendy's opened fire, and I believe it was an SUV, shooting this little girl. The father gave a speech where he said, you say you say Black Lives Matter, but you killed your own, you killed a little girl. Why isn't the media saying Black Lives Matter activists, protesters, whatever word they want to use,
right,
killed little girl? Why is every story like senseless violence, little girl shot? Yet if I guarantee you, if you had one guy out there wearing a Trump hat, they would have been like far-right extremists execute child.
I mean, this has been going on. It happened in Chop, Chaz, whatever you want to call it. It's like a bunch of people were killed. And it's like the dad of the one of the guys that got killed out there was like, what is going on? Why the mayor's not calling me, but Trump called me. The president of the United States called me to say that it's a terrible thing that happened to you. And I'm just like, how is the mayor not? Because the mayor knows that kid's blood is on the mayor's hands. And the governor, both of them.
Let me show this real quick just so I can make sure y'all have the context. This is from NPR. Georgia Governor Brian Kemp is activating up to 1,000 National Guard troops after a spate of shootings and protests in Atlanta over the weekend. 5 people died, including an 8-year-old girl, and at least 30 people were injured. The Republican governor issued an executive order Monday that would send the National Guard to protect the state capitol, the governor's mansion, and the Department of Public Safety headquarters, where close to 100 demonstrators set fire to part of the building early Sunday morning. Amazing. Now, this is a Republican governor. He could have done something sooner. I suppose he waited until the last minute, which is not good because now a little girl has died. But you take a look at the mayor of Atlanta, you take a look at the mayor of Seattle, and what do we have? A lot of people see the media is not giving the same attention to Atlanta and this Wendy's, but it was occupied very similarly to what we saw in the Chaz. They didn't make a public declaration, though. But there have been armed groups, mind you, sidestep. You can legally bear arms in this country and walk around and guard places. But at a certain point, when people keep getting shot, the police need to do something. What did they do? The mayor, the DA attacked the police after the Rayshard Brooks killing, putting this cop facing, charging him with felony murder because a guy stole his weapon, knocked his friend down, his partner down, ran, and then turned and fired the weapon at him. That cop, for defending himself, is facing felony murder.
That's crazy.
Now the police are demoralized. Far left groups and Black Lives Matter groups are occupying the area to varying degrees. Multiple people have been shot. 2 days ago, a little girl gets shot. The next day, 3 people get shot. A 53-year-old man is killed. And now they're like, maybe we should come in and do something about this. And I bring this back to what you were saying about Seattle.
Yeah.
The mayor said, we maybe have a summer of love. It's like a festival. And then when a 16-year-old and a 14-year-old, and they're both young black men, are driving in an SUV, according to multiple reports, they were joyriding. They had stolen a vehicle. One witness said she was on the phone with them and she told them to go to the Chaz for safety. And then the security, for some reason, unloaded. One witness reportedly said 300 plus rounds and 10 minutes of sustained fire on this vehicle.
Yep.
And in the live stream of what happened, you can only hear. They walk up to the vehicle and you hear a guy say, "Oh, you're still alive?" And then something about pistol whipping him.
Yep.
Some people are trying to have argued that he then executed the 16-year-old, finishing him off. I don't know if that's true. What I do know is the mayor still did nothing.
You do hear a shot. I watched that video.
And then you hear the shot?
You can hear a shot fired after he says, "Oh, you're still alive? What if I pistol whip you?" And then you hear a shot.
Bang.
And it's just like, what are you shooting at?
And you know what the one thing that made the mayor react was?
When they showed up at her house.
Yep. And so did she call the father of the 19-year-old who died?
Nope. Definitely not.
No. Trump did.
Absolutely not. And he did. Props.
So this is the uphill battle, man.
Yeah.
That we have this level of violence now over a month. The media covers it less and less because people are desensitized to it. It doesn't generate the same traffic or interest.
Yeah.
But it's not stopped. So when I first saw the story about the 8-year-old girl who was killed, I couldn't find anything about exactly what happened. And the police, the official reporting said that it was near the site of these protests and that they had exited the highway at University Avenue and were trying to pull into a parking lot at the 1200 block of Pryor Boulevard or whatever. And I'm like, okay, so the reason they're saying this is because it must not have anything to do with Black Lives Matter. Mm-hmm. And then, sure enough, the official release comes out. It was the parking lot across the street from Wendy's, and it was the armed group of people occupying the area who unloaded on this vehicle, killing this little girl.
Yep.
And I'm like, why wouldn't the journalists say that?
Exactly.
Even right now, why doesn't the headline say Black Lives Matter group, armed Black Lives Matter group kills little girl?
Because they only want to push the narrative that is what they want to push, their narrative. They don't want people knowing that Black Lives Matter groups are killing black people.
So this is a serious problem we have right now.
Agreed.
If one guy comes out, and do you remember that guy I don't know if you remember the story in Portland. He was a crazy, he wasn't left, he wasn't right, he was just nuts, and he slashed 3 people on the Portland train system.
Okay.
I don't remember his name.
I don't remember this.
But he recently got sentenced to life in prison over the attack because it killed 2 of the guys, I think.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he was reported that he was yelling at women with hijab, wearing hijab.
Okay.
And then 3 guys intervened and he slashed them. They were like cornering him. The media reported that it was a right-wing extremist.
Okay.
You actually look at his profile and the guy made no sense. He was like previously a Bernie supporter. He was a Balkanist. He wanted America broken up into different countries. Like, you could argue some things about him were right, some were left, but ultimately he was a crazy guy. And what does the media say? Far right.
Of course.
You get a bunch of conservatives who join Parler. It's like a different social network, and they say far right extremists, Nazis, and stuff like that. It's so easy. Oh no. Here's my favorite: the Boogaloo Boys.
Yeah. During
all the unrest, beginning of last month, some dude in a white van opens up the side panel door, shoots 2 cops with a rifle, killing one of them. When they go to catch him, he kills another cop. He writes about killing cops. He writes "boog" in blood, and then they say right wing. Huh. And I'm like, hold on. During the unrest, for George Floyd, a guy who says kill cops, like Antifa, actually does it. Now he's right wing. Now he's right wing. So when
That's insane.
So here's the thing: they can't call these Black Lives Matter people at the Wendy's right wing.
That's true.
So they just say senseless violence,
Right.
Armed group on the 1200 block, instead of saying at the site of the ongoing Black Lives Matter protests, armed Black Lives Matter individuals shot and killed a little girl as well as several other people. 5 people died over the last night.
Yep.
And they threw a firebomb through the window of a police department. They don't say it.
Or the violence that's happening in New York or Chicago.
Oh, the crime is just through the roof.
It's crazy. Minnesota, all these places, the crime is skyrocketing.
And you know what's
people
really
are
funny?
being executed in broad daylight, walking their daughter. Man, did you see that video?
I did.
That makes me tear up a little bit. Just thinking about like that little girl was walking with her dad
from her dad as he lays dying.
She runs away. Man, that.
And you know what really made me mad? She's going to grow up with
That
her
upsets
dad.
me a lot, man. That's sad.
Let me explain this to everybody who hasn't
I feel
seen
really
it.
bad for that little girl.
There's a viral video right now. I think they're offering a reward. They're trying to track this guy down in New York City. There's a video of this. It's a man with his 4-year-old daughter. She's 4, right?
I'm not sure how old she was.
And they're walking across the street, and he stops with her, and he looks forward, and a car pulls up on the left side. He starts walking across the street, and they stop, and they start looking at something, and all of a sudden a gun points out of the vehicle, pop, and the dad falls down onto his back, and you see him shaking, and then everyone screams. The little girl runs away. That's what's happening in New York right now. And this
terrible.
kind of stuff has been happening in Chicago nonstop for decades. Elon Musk.
Long time.
You see Elon Musk tweet about this?
Oh, what did he say? No, I missed it.
I just, it makes me hope that people are starting to wake up to the problems that we're having.
I hope so.
And I do, especially in Chicago, blame Democrats for this.
Absolutely.
You want to talk about the national level Democrats, we can have that conversation. But I grew up in Chicago. Adam's from Chicago.
Yep.
This place has been just super majority Democrat forever. And the gun violence has only gotten worse. Elon Musk tweeted in response to someone saying like the bloodiest night in Chicago, over the past like decade or something. And he says, this shows something like the moral bankruptcy of the far left. There's no outrage over this.
Yep,
None.
absolutely.
And you know what bothers me? When I see the high level polarizing conversation around what's going on in Chicago, you do get people on the right saying no one cares about this. Black Lives Matter doesn't care about it. If Black Lives mattered, why wouldn't you talk about Chicago?
Right.
And then the high profile left just doesn't talk about it. The reality is in Chicago, they do. And they're constantly doing it. But you know what the issue is? The high profile political individuals know that this will not play well enough for them to win power.
Boom.
So you have activists in Chicago. I have interviewed them who are fighting, marching, and saying, stop the violence in our communities.
Yeah.
And what does the high profile left and the high profile Black Lives Matter do?
Ignore it.
Taxes, universal health care, Green New Deal, whatever this Marxist stuff is. And
We'll get
ignore
rid
it.
of Aunt Jemima.
Oh, now I'm not going to blame them for that.
I'm just making
But
a,
it's-
making a.
but it's
It's
true.
not even funny, but because that's what
It's their
they're
focus.
putting like a little tiny Band-Aid. Like, here you go. Here's a Band-Aid for your
I don't
wounds.
even know if a Band-Aid is the right word for it.
Right,
Slap in the
Insult.
face.
Yeah, you're right. It's a
Because-
slap in the face. Yes.
But we've talked about this. They're not getting rid of white mascots. They're removing diversity from our brands.
That's true.
They're not interested in actually fighting what they claim they're fighting for. Hence, I throw it back to Frederick Douglass. That one really makes me angry.
Exactly. They
Oh.
don't. They're not fighting for equality.
No, man.
I
That's
found
not-
the quote.
That's not what it means.
You found the quote? From,
Yeah, I
was it
did.
Booker T?
It was Booker T. Washington.
Yes.
Do you want me to read it?
Yes.
Of course.
Okay, so it says, there is a class of colored people who make a business of keeping the troubles, the wrongs, and the hardships of the race before the public. Having learned that they are able to make a living out of their troubles, they've grown into a settled habit of advertising their wrongs, partly because they want sympathy and partly because it pays. Some of these people do not want the black man to lose his grievances because they do not want to lose their job.
And he's using colorful language
yes,
from the past. we
literally
can't
colorful
repeat.
language. Yeah.
So, what can you look up what year was Booker?
1911. That was
1911.
Mm-hmm.
How amazing. 1911.
Yep.
And I wonder who he was referring to. I really do genuinely wonder. But I've got to say, we're at a point now, I don't know if you saw this. Joe Biden said that if when we beat Donald Trump, we won't just rebuild this country, we will transform it.
Yeah. What does that mean?
I don't know.
What are you trying to say, Biden?
Yeah.
I'm not excited by that, to be honest.
No, because of all the political people that I've seen, like, he's very racist, and he has a very racist. Many things that he has said, I'm just like I'm very political now. I'm not going back. And Biden, I'm looking into you, and you're a sleaze bag.
Yeah. Seriously.
He's so racist. It's like, and then people are calling me racist just because I'm voting for Trump. And it's like, do you know what Trump has done for minorities? Like, he's done a lot. He's done a lot.
Yeah.
There's plenty of, man, just starting to look into it. It was just like, whoa, we can sit here all night talking about that, but it's besides the point of what we're talking about. So it's
Joe
crazy,
Biden
man.
wants
They're
to-
spinning it.
Joe Biden says he wants to transform this country. And the reason that's worrisome to me is not
Yeah.
because I think Joe Biden himself is a far leftist, but that he's ceded ground in a desperate attempt to beat Trump.
Yep.
So I have to wonder if these people are willing to go as far as to tear down Frederick Douglass. I'm going to say it a million times because that dude was that's so far over the line.
Yep.
Like I don't even know the line went. They dragged us so far to the left. So Joe Biden, the Democrats have become so desperate
Yep.
to defeat Donald Trump. And here's the way I describe it. I know I'm going to give you the silly bit. It's the One Ring from Lord of the Rings. They think they could wield the power.
Yeah.
They cannot.
No.
Nope.
And so what happens? Joe Biden is going to bring the ring rays upon us.
Mm-hmm.
He is going to be like, it is a gift to the Democrats. We will use it to defeat our enemies. Then Antifa goes and destroys everything. And what happens? He gives them ground.
Yep.
And then what? Now you've got people advocating for tearing down Thomas Jefferson.
Right.
And you've put me in a position ever increasingly where I'm like, what's my compromise? With conservatives who I have marginal disagreements with, or with the far left who wants to burn it all to the ground? And literally they bring guillotines to people's homes in effigy.
Right.
I'm like, oh.
Was that Jeff Bezos? They put it in front of his house?
Yeah, but they've gone to people's houses. They went back to the home of that St. Louis couple.
I saw that. They're still there. They've had to board up their house and hire guards.
I'm glad they hired guards.
Me too.
But they will come to your house. That's the mayor of Seattle learned that lesson the hard way.
Yep.
She thought she could wield the power. She thought she could. And what happened? They went to her house and she pulled that ring and she pulled off and threw it as far as she could.
Yep.
She came in and she crushed them, but it was too late.
She tossed it over to New York.
De
Blasio's like, yes.
I can handle this.
But I also wonder if it's actually just too late for them. Like what really happened was they tried using the One Ring, the far left as their advantage, and now they are being overrun by the evil, by the extremism. They can't stop it.
Yep, they're being changed.
It's taking over now that they've opened the door, begging for help. We must defeat Trump by any means necessary. And they say, we'll help you. And now they're taking over.
Yeah.
And the Democrats are panicked. And Joe Biden is the person saying, just let me be president and I'll give you half. How does that sound? Listen, fat, look fat. I'll give you half. I don't want to know what that's going to look like. That worries me. So there are a lot of people who are talking about all these different opportunities, like for 2020, and ways to defeat this. Some people are trying to, what is it? I can't remember who this was. He was like, if you want to stop the far left from taking over, then you'd want to vote for Joe Biden. It's like Joe Biden opened the door.
Yeah.
And Trump, I don't think, is doing enough.
He's the mask that the far left are wearing. They're like a monster behind a mask of Joe Biden's face.
Yeah. You ever see, what was it, Spirited Away?
Yes.
The giant black mask with the white,
that is
mask.
that is exactly what I'm thinking. Yes. Yeah. Very, very close.
You see the Joe Biden, and then you pull the mask away, and it's this gigantic demon going, and you're like, ah.
Yeah.
So, man, now, like, I've been saying this for a while, that if you take if you can actually look at the New York Times data. I love showing this graph where it shows the left going like this, just like boom,
veering off,
and the Republicans are like kind of a squiggly line, leaning slightly to the left. And I'm like, so listen, if I'm kind of where Obama was in 2008 in terms of policy ideas, that's fairly in the middle compared to where most Americans probably are. We don't change that much.
Yeah.
If I'm standing here and I look to my right, what do I see? I see Trump and a bunch of Trump supporters waving little American flags, and I'm like, I'm familiar with what that is.
Yeah.
I've lived with these people. I've gone to church with these people as a kid. I'm no longer religious, but they're part of my community. I know them. Man, do they sometimes get on my nerves. I look to my left. I don't see anything. So I climb up on a ladder. I take my binoculars out, and there, all the way off in the distance, are a bunch of people burning things to the ground.
I'm surprised you can actually see them still.
Seriously.
Right. Well, you got to go way up, like, at the top of the Sears Tower.
It's a mountain.
And so the analogy comes to this. If I had to make a compromise, I can take a few steps to the right as a moderate liberal, growing up, and say, listen, I'm going to give ground on these issues if you help me stop these crazy people who are coming to burn everything to the ground. Mm-hmm. Or you can go to Biden, who says, walk a couple 100 miles with me to meet these other people and see what they're all about. And I'm like,
can you walk that far, Biden?
Well, it's an analogy. He'll put him in his little electric scooter, his rascal.
Zip on over.
But if they're tearing down statues of our heroes, and their allies in media are lying to smear Trump, that says something really that's even more worrying when Biden comes out and says he wants to transform this country, because we know they're lying to us.
Absolutely.
Trump's not the most honest person in the world, but he's honest in weird ways.
Yep.
The Intercept wrote about this, and they hate Trump. They said he's the most honest president in American history.
Wow.
Because he blurts out, he says the quiet part loud and loud part quiet.
Yeah.
There are a lot of dumb things Trump has lied about. I've done a ton of videos on this. I know people are always like, what? It's like stupid things, like personal things. It's like, I can't think of anything off the top of my head. So yeah, I'm gonna be put on the spot for that.
Well,
for sure.
so obviously it's not newsworthy. If you can't even remember it, and you are inundated with news, and you should know. If all the people in this room, you would know. And the fact that you're coming at a loss to it, it's like, well, was that big of a deal?
They exist. Obama lied too.
Sure.
All the administrations have lied. The specific thing that I always try to go to and on the tip of my tongue is like, it was some really weird thing he lied about that was like a personal issue. That was like, why would he lie about that?
Okay.
And then there's like something right now where they said, why did Kristi Noem fly on Air Force One? And Kayleigh McEnany said, ask the Secret Service, but the Secret Service doesn't actually have anything to do with it. There's things like that.
Okay.
I ultimately don't really care about. It's like a gotcha, like, ooh, she had COVID. Like, why was she flying on the plane? But Trump, in the most famous moment, was like walking up to the White House, and there's like the helicopter noise. And then they were like, Trump, what's going on with this deal with Saudi Arabia? And he goes, it's going to be really great. They're going to give us so much money. Great for the economy. We're selling lots of weapons. Our weapons manufacturers love it. And, we want this deal. And then all of the anti-war progressives, their jaws just hit the floor like,
did you just say what I
did
think
he just
said?
Admit that
Sure
the
did.
U.S. economy is bolstered by these war manufacturers
man.
sending weapons to the Middle East? Trump didn't care. He's like, yep. And he said it. He was like, we got to make sure we get this deal. Otherwise, Russia or China will get it, and it's going to be great for their economies, but we want this deal.
Yeah, that annoys me. The amount of people that love to make fun of him for this kind of stuff. But they're sitting on their phones, they're sitting on their computers, they're sitting enjoying the fruits of the factories that don't have any environmental regulations at all on the other side of the planet, destroying the planet that they're fighting for on their phones. They're like, oh, I can go on my phone and complain about the environment when they're on the phone built, from on the other side of the planet. So, man, it drives me nuts every time that comes up.
There's that comic I often reference because whenever you bring this up, they're like, I can, it's a peasant saying we should improve society.
Right.
And then the guy pops out of the well saying, yet you live in society. This is them justifying the fact. Here's what they really think. I should be allowed to have a cell phone, but you should not.
Yep.
That's what they're saying.
Boom.
Listen, I'm going to complain about horrifying authoritarianism and child slave labor. Now, I understand all of the things I own are made by that, but I'm more effective this way. Yeah. It's you who shouldn't have it. This is the mistake made by all of these people. It is the false promise used over and over again throughout history. It is the 72 virgins in heaven. Yep. It is the when we enact socialism, you're going to have everything. That healthcare you always wanted? Yup, you'll get that. You'll finally have a voice. You see that man over there with that golden toilet in his massive skyscraper in New York? You should have that too.
For no work at all.
Agree with
you don't
us.
have to work at all. That's what they want. They don't want to have to work at all.
And isn't it funny that these people who are protesting, I mean, it's a shame, but right now they have no jobs. And they're protesting to fight for... Look, it's very, very simple. It has nothing to do with the individual and to a certain degree. Mm-hmm. If people do not have, they will demand, because humans will fight to survive.
Yep.
This is why some people theorize revolutions occurred in the Middle East during the Arab Spring, because of a lack of food. They don't care how they get it. They're going to demand it, and it doesn't matter if it makes sense. So when you have a bunch of people who have lost their jobs, they're going to go out and protest for things like Marxism or communism or whatever, because they're literally like, I don't got food. I don't know how to get food. If this is the only thing I can do, I'm going to go do it. Not realizing if you go out and demand stuff for nothing from someone else, you're just stealing. You're just asking the state to steal for you.
That's true.
Yeah.
Now, look, I get it. All of a sudden, every libertarian is popping up saying, did Tim just admit taxation is theft? To a certain extent, sure, but there's a difference between everyone pitching in to some kind of, community fund.
Yeah, to fix the roads, to fix,
and you don't have to
run the electricity,
and
everything. Like, there's a lot that the taxes go into.
Unfortunately, war. But
That's true.
If you don't like that system, that's a conversation, and we figured out.
Have a conversation. Work. Get a job in government and start striving towards making the changes that you think should happen.
Here's the thing: a discussion about whether or not we should all have to pitch in to support roads and infrastructure and security is one thing. To have a large group of people demanding that they produce nothing and deserve everything is something entirely different.
Agreed, completely.
They've found a way in, and it's Black Lives Matter. They're using that name because they know you can't criticize them. You can, look at men. Have you seen the race? Was it F1? I think the race car drivers. Half of them kneeled and half of them stood.
Yeah.
but they all wore the same shirt. Or there was that soccer player woman who refused to kneel and everyone's cheering for her, but she still wore the shirt. Because there's a fine, like there's the companies have straight up said they will cut you off unless you're in line with what we say.
Yep.
The intersectionalism is the new religion, and you must bow or else. That's why I'm pretty sure we're gonna get banned at some point. I'm not even kidding. Smash that like button. I can't imagine we make it to November. I don't know.
Yeah,
now,
we will.
To be fair, they did remonetize people like Count Dankula.
Yeah.
You know, so he got his channel back. That's good news. Many commentators got their channels back, so that's good news.
And we're having a conversation.
Yeah,
You know,
but
we're not making declarations. Yeah, sure. The fact that having a conversation is dangerous is so telling that people need to be having these conversations. That's why these people are here with us right now, because they want to have this conversation. People want this. They want to show that's why people get so mad at Black Lives Matter. The phrase of course it does. Of course your lives matter. No, they're trying to convince the general public that there's people out there that don't feel that way. When people respond with, no, well, all lives matter, they're saying no one believes that because we believe all lives matter.
The idea is that all lives matter encompasses Black Lives Matter.
Right.
There is an issue I take with it in that people respond with all lives matter.
Right.
If someone yells Black Lives Matter, I'd say hear, hear.
Yes.
Yes, exactly.
I completely agree.
Yeah, stop.
You're right.
Right. Stop trying to prove them wrong, because Black lives do matter.
Yeah.
You're
Of
right.
course.
You're absolutely right. They absolutely matter. No doubt.
And
No
this
questions.
is the way I put it. Like, the big problem right now is the far left manipulating. And so you end up with these people who are saying things like Black Lives Matter, but then using that as a Trojan horse to bring in communism and other weird socialist.
Down with the patriarchy is one of the top lists on the Black Lives Matter movement.
Breaking
it's like,
apart the family.
why that breaking apart the family? What?
Yep, it's the great equalizer. If
That's
no one has a family.
ridiculous.
There's a creepy commercial.
There's a direct correlation with not having a father figure and a mother figure, and
It's actually
crimes
just two
going
parents.
up. Oh, excuse me. Okay, two parents.
We need more research on it.
Sure.
But I was actually reading, because this is a big conversation having to do with LGBT rights.
Okay.
And I can't remember exactly which one it is, but it was one of the intellectual dark web, high profile, anti-intersectionalist people who said the current data we have shows that you need two parents. A single parent household is what results in, like higher crime rates and stuff like this.
Yeah.
Fatherlessness does play a specific role, but they ultimately said we need to do more research on whether or not it's specifically male-female or just two parents. But so far the data we have is two parents.
Okay.
I'm not pretending to be the scientist who has all the answers.
Well, and I'm certainly not. I just every day I further myself a little more than the day before, and I really try to understand more and more, and especially now I'm seeing that the classic nuclear family that like people talk about, it's like that's needed. We need that. We need to cherish that, because that breeds more community. People they grow up with a a sense of worth. They actually can see how to be. And that's what they strive to be.
It's hard to know, to be honest. When I look at a lot of the data pertaining to families, it's hard to know for sure.
Yeah.
But my question is, why is breaking apart the traditional family structure a goal
of Black Lives Matter? Why?
It makes no sense.
It doesn't make any sense at all. It doesn't make any sense.
It's the Trojan horse. They found the way in.
Yep, absolutely.
So here's the way I see it. My response, and I think the appropriate response, is if someone, I was talking to a friend of mine, we were arguing about a lot of politics. Okay. And I was asked, so actually, Eric Swalwell, he's the guy who farted on MSNBC. Yeah, cheat an election. He said in Congress, is there any Republican who can unequivocally say Black Lives Matter? And then no one speaks up, and I think it was Matt Gaetz who said something like, yes, they do, and all lives matter, or something like that. And he's like, no, just say Black Lives Matter. My response is absolutely. Yeah. If someone came to me and said, so I was talking to my friend, and they said, would you agree that Black Lives Matter? I said 100%, absolutely. I will hold that sign right along with you. Yeah. And I would also then say to the people with the All Lives Matter signs, I'd shake their hand too and say, hey, how about you guys who are concerned about Tony Timpa, I think his name was, right? Yeah. I feel your pain. You're completely right. The people mad about Breonna Taylor, you are also right. Hey, guess what? You're both right. Yep. What if we work together and
Boom.
got justice for all of these people?
Yeah.
And then it doesn't need to be about your slogan separating us based on tribe. We can actually come together.
Yeah.
And you know what? Maybe we say, I say this: if you think the Breonna Taylor is or George Floyd is more deserving of attention than say Tony Timpa, I'm not going to argue. I'm going to say, all right, I will fight with you for justice for George Floyd. I would do it unconditionally, to be honest. But I ask you a favor. Afterwards, can we talk about Tony Timpa?
Yeah.
And guess what people are going to say? Yeah, of course.
Yep.
So, you know, the way I see it is there is real compromise between, say, actual Black Lives Matter activists, not the Trojan horse far leftists who have hijacked the movement.
Yeah.
Yes, which is what many of the high-profile Black Lives Matter people have said. If someone comes to me and says, police brutality is affecting my community, I'm like, let me know what you need me to do, man.
Boom.
Let me know. Because I'm not down with people having their civil rights violated.
Agreed.
Right.
That includes tearing down a community statue because that's violating the rights of the people who live there.
Mm-hmm.
That includes someone losing their life at the hands of cops and the cops not being held accountable.
Yep.
So you end up with these, you know, conflicting slogans that don't need to be conflicting at all.
Yep.
You know, it's like, can you hold up a sign with both? Can you have a sign saying Black Lives Matter and All Lives Matter, and let's like work together to fight for those who have lost their lives unjustly?
Boom.
There's a bunch of memes that go around about this that for some reason seek to discredit All Lives Matter. And
I don't get that.
Me neither.
It's like both sides arguing that the sky is blue.
Right.
It's blue. No, it's a darker shade of blue. And it's like it's
No,
blue.
it's black.
It's blue.
The
Everyone,
sky is black.
It's blue.
You're talking about refracting particles. That's an illusion. No, I don't care about that. I'm telling you, I can see it and it's blue. Instead of being like, friends, you're both just so awful. So, shut up.
Yeah.
Regular people understand that literally the sky is black, and that due to reflecting moisture, you know, water molecules or whatever, it creates an illusion.
It is actually cool to think about the fact that the blue light you see is just one part of the spectrum of colors that is shining through. It's just sunlight refracted. It's pretty cool.
Very cool.
I think about that when I
I'm gonna
look
try
at the
and
blue
find
sky.
this picture. I found it in 2 seconds. Look
Oh,
at
look
that.
at that.
I'm so good at what I do.
Here.
Not that one. This
Oh,
one.
there we go.
Let's.
The right meme here.
Oh yeah, this is great.
So this is a very famous image that I see all the time. I don't know what its origin is, but look at the camera. For those that are listening, let me explain it to you. There's a man with a knife chasing a man. On camera, it looks like the man running is actually the man doing the stabbing because the camera only captures a specific portion of you know, the incident. It's a really interesting way of thinking about how media narratives frame what's actually going on.
Yeah, it nails it.
Basically, the guy running, his foot is pointed, and the guy swinging the knife is screaming. So on camera, you see a guy screaming and a pointed object coming his way.
Yep.
When in reality, the guy screaming is the one doing the stabbing. So it's a good representation of how the media skews our perspective of everything. But I want to go back to, you know, you're talking about your arguments with people on Facebook.
Okay.
Why are people arguing with you on Facebook?
Because I'm being vocal and I'm asking questions. That's really the thing. I'm asking questions. You know, it all started from someone posting a meme. It was, you know, Black Lives Matter say we need police reform, and then they're like, okay, let's get rid of Aunt Jemima, and then they're like, yeah, okay, well, what about police reform? And then they get rid of Uncle Ben's, and then yeah, but what about police reform? And there was a bunch of different things, and then someone started writing. It's like the Republicans tried to do this, and blah blah.
Well, I mean,
and
like not specifically, like what is going on in their minds where they're like, aha, Adam said something, I must be angry with him. You know what I mean?
Well, that's what we're seeing. We're seeing people that are swayed by the mainstream media. They're running on emotions. So they get triggered whenever they see someone that isn't speaking to the narrative that they want.
What do they get?
That's a great question. I don't know. I'm
so-
trying to figure that out myself.
So when we break this down, what do we have? We have Republicans offered up a reform policy.
Yep.
Democrats shot it down.
Yep.
So
right.
So what are these people arguing for if they're not winning anything?
I don't know. And not only are they not winning anything, they're mad at the Republicans in this situation. Because all I said was the person who posted the meme and then someone responded, and I just said, hey, look, I because of my job, I'm actually really aware of things that are going on in the political realm, and this is actually true. The Republicans put forward a bill and the Democrats shut it down. And period. So what I said was just the truth, right? Nothing more, no biased. But man, did I get blasted. People were just, oh, haha, nice try. And then they, posting these anti-Trump memes and like saying all this stuff about how they got me. And I'm just like, what do you mean? Like, I literally just said the truth. This actually happened. They did shut it down, and they're like, yeah, well, you're clearly biased because you said the Dems shut it down, so you're clearly not a Democrat. You hate Democrats, and I'm just like, you guys are changing. No, not changing. They're adding their own narrative, and I guess their nuance to what I said, and making it fit what they want to scream about.
We need sports back. We need sports.
Actually, that's funny that you should say that. I agree. Sports are a way for us to blow off steam. We can hate each other comfortably. Right. Oh, you like that team? Well, I like this team. Rah! And it answers that. And we haven't really realized that video games are the new sport. That it is the newer version of it. People, you get that. Esports. It's huge. That's why it's so big, because everyone has access to it. But you don't have to be physically fit. You don't have to be good at sports. All you need is good hand-eye coordination.
So look, when I was younger, I used to actually get mad that people were so obsessed with sports because they'd argue about Sox versus Cubs, and it was always partial, like typically a little bit in jest. Because,
yeah, but I mean, it's not even an argument. Cubs are better.
Sure. They're actually not, but anyway, the point is.
Oh my gosh.
Actually,
I'm clearly a Cubs fan.
Statistically, they're not better, right?
No, they're not.
You admit it.
Oh, boo.
No. Statistically, all right, the Sox have been a better team, but the Cubs finally just won.
Premium
and I've
brand.
been to many Cubs games. I sang with Harry Carey. I've been to Wrigley Field.
Well, look,
I got a big soft spot for Chicago sports teams.
I think all in all, sports have been kind of dwindling. And here's what I was going to say. When I was younger, I was actually mad that people wouldn't pay attention to the world around them because they were too obsessed with sports. Now, as I get older, I'm like, maybe that's a good thing because people don't actually care. Just want to fight you. That's why I was asking you, like, why are they arguing with you?
Because listen, that's a good point.
Listen, I read the news literally all day, every single day.
Yeah.
I just read news. And it's funny when you get these far leftists being like, Tim's not a real journalist. All he does is read articles. It's like, bro, do you know like how much research I have to do every single day?
You claim that you only work for
I record about 4
hours
to 4 hours of content.
Right. But
and
you
12
all
hours
day long. I trust me, I see it all day long. This guy is a machine. He is just constantly researching,
fact checking
all day long,
doubling down.
Yeah, it's amazing.
I'll tell you what, there are several instances where like you'll bring something up like, hey, I heard this, and I'll say, oh, actually that's not true because of this, that, and this. You're like, really? Wow. And then we'll look it up. Then sometimes you're like, oh, actually I found the source, it's true. And I'm like, oh wow, how about that? And then several instances I'm like, actually here's the source of that meme. And so when it comes to like that story about the dude driving the car on the highway, I watched like 5 different videos. I watched the live stream from the woman who got hit as she was streaming as she got hit.
Oh, wow.
I read all the articles and I said, here's what's actually happened. And then you have all these people who are like on team left who aren't reading it saying he drove around the police barricade and then went the wrong way on the highway and hit somebody. And I'm like,
and that's the truth.
Didn't happen.
So I'm going to scream it to everyone.
So here's what I see happening. You have people on Facebook who argue with me. And it's the funniest thing, because I'm like, with all due respect, what do you do for a living? And they'll say like,
what is the answer?
No, I'm like, someone will tell me like, oh, I'm a warehouse forklift operator. I say, okay, let me just make this point, okay? And again, with all due respect, I respect your opinion. However, at a certain point, wouldn't you defer to the experts on the issue?
Yeah.
And so I actually got in an argument with this dude. And he was talking about how much smarter he was and how he knew all these things. And I say, you realize that I've like been doing this for a decade. I read nothing but news all day, every day, nonstop from all different sources, fact checking all day, every day. 10 years, okay? Would you go to a doctor when he says, here's my prescribed treatment and go, I read actually on Twitter that this says I shouldn't be doing, what you prescribe. And that's why I got really mad when Trump was talking about hydroxychloroquine, the treatment for COVID, and then all these pundits were like, don't do it, it's dangerous. Like Cavuto on Fox News was like, it'll kill you. And I'm like, no, stop. Don't listen to any of these people. Listen to your doctor, please.
Right.
Don't listen to Trump. Listen to your doctor. If your doctor says it's safe, trust your doctor. That's all I can really say.
And technically speaking, Trump, I watched that speech. He was actually referring to from a doctor.
His doctor.
That's told him that. So he was like, this is something that they're finding. This is, and it's promising. And
So-
people were like,
Why would someone want to argue so bad that they would think they know better than I do when I'm being respectful? I'm not insulting them. I'm just saying, here's the source. I can prove what I'm saying. And their source is a meme. And so I actually told this guy, I was like, bro, look, I'm done playing games. You're, as far as I can tell, like you to me are like an anti-vaxxer.
yeah,
Like you've got a doctor saying, here's what I think about the medication. And then you're just like, nope, don't care. I work in a warehouse, but I know better than you. So that's why, like for me, like on the issues of vaccines or masks or whatever, I'm like, look, man,
yep,
I got to be honest. When it comes to Fauci, I don't listen to a word that guy says anymore.
same here.
You know, and I'm not the only one saying it. There are like a lot of people have finally come out and been like, he clearly doesn't know what he's talking about.
Yeah, it's pretty obvious.
But I still defer to the doctor. So here's what I say. Listen, ignore the public PR debate over like masks and all that stuff. And it is a problem when our governors are playing PR politics, you know, instead of actually what we need. Ask your doctor. If your doctor says wear it, I take your doctor's advice. That's all I can say.
Yeah.
So the problem with tribal politics instead of tribal sports is that people now are invested in simply fighting for the sake of fighting because they have their team, you know.
Well, it's in our nature.
I'm on
People
team
wanna fight.
left, you're on team right, therefore I'm going to fight you. And it's like, this is actually negatively impacting our way of life. Can you go back to talking about Sox versus Cubs again? Because
Yeah.
at least then you deferred politics to people who are more interested.
I don't even think it's that people want to fight. I'm going to correct myself that I just said that, because when I look at it, it's people want a purpose. And as little of a purpose it is to just be rooting for a sports team, that fills that purpose.
Yeah.
I'm so proud that my team won, and I've got my friends that love my team. You got community, right? You've got a purpose. You've got something you're looking forward to. You're excited about the game on the weekend. You're looking forward to it. Doesn't matter what you're doing.
Got a rivalry.
You've got a rivalry. You got someone to like hate upon, like in the best way possible. What, you got something to add?
Yeah, so I think people mostly just want to belong. And I think that's what being part of a fan group is.
Boom.
I think that's why sports is so important, because I have long said I don't really care for sports. I don't follow sports. And I was like Tim. I thought that people who followed sports were kind of silly.
Mm-hmm.
But I was like, if it gives them something to like rally around and someone to cheer for
Yep.
and an enemy that's not harmful to root against,
Boom.
where is the harm here? As long as you're also focusing on like real
And
life
seriously, for all the people that are on Team TimcastIRL, why haven't you smashed the like button?
stuff.
Yeah,
Oh, great question.
That's what I'm saying
really
right
what I
now.
wanna know.
You
That's
know,
Adam's game.
that's what I'm talking about. Why aren't you smashing the like button? We should have
Do it.
50,000 likes right now.
so we
Smash it. Hold on, I'm not done.
Wait.
I'm not. Smash that like button.
There we go.
Smash. Yeah.
There we go.
All right, I'm good. You can continue now, Tim.
we you know, typically when I learn that, when I read the history about like the Colosseum,
Uh-huh.
you know, bred in circuses, it's
Yeah.
usually negative. Like the people were distracted from the real issues that oppressed them in exchange for being thrown loaves of bread.
Right.
Or actually, I love the. We just watched Waterworld. Have you guys? When was the last time you guys watched Waterworld with Kevin Costner?
Yes,
The
we did.
Smokers.
I've seen it so many
And
times.
so
I
the
love that
guy
movie.
is like driving through the ship and he's throwing cigarettes to everybody.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of it. Like we look back on this rather negatively.
Yeah.
But maybe humans need something to make them to
be a part of something.
Yeah. Otherwise, they'll be a
That's
part
really what
of
it
something
is.
more violent.
That's true.
Or they'll shield violence. So if the team sport right now, I think this is it. I think Democrats in their desperation tried to weaponize tribalist politics, and that's like the one ring they couldn't do it properly.
Yep.
And they've unleashed the demons that they should not have unleashed. When they lost to Trump, they didn't know why, and so even during the campaign against Trump, they were trying to embrace this escalating progressive far left. They didn't, you know, I think Bernie actually caused a lot of problems for them.
Yeah.
He blindsided them.
I could see that.
It's very obvious to me that when you look at how they were handling the Democratic primary, it was going to be a very quick dropout to make sure Hillary won.
Yep.
Because she was supposed to win in 08 and then Obama stole it.
That's true.
So then I think their plan was it was going to be her, but Bernie had a real grassroots moment they could not contain.
It's true.
And so their only option
To try it themselves.
was to pander to Bernie's base.
Right.
Saying, how do you stop the rebellion in the ranks of the Democratic Party? Because you know what the real problem was? everybody hates Hillary Clinton. I'm not exaggerating. Everyone. The few people who pretend to like her
are just scared of her.
Seriously, yeah.
Same thing.
Just pretend.
I mean, look, there are cronies who are in the game who are happy with her.
Yeah.
But I
probably.
think she wanted the presidency, and I blame her 100% for the demise of the modern Democratic Party as it stands today.
Yeah.
Because it was her turn. She had to be president, even if it means destroying everything. So what happened? Because she was so hated by people, a large portion of the Democratic voter base said Bernie Sanders. And then the Democrats went into panic mode, trying to stop the rebellion within their ranks. And the only way to do it was to shut Bernie up, but then pander to his base. Otherwise, the revolt would continue.
Yep.
And they couldn't stop it. If Hillary, in my opinion, if it wasn't Hillary, I don't know who they would have run. If you had someone who is more charismatic, there would not be a far left insurgency among the Democratic Party for the most part.
Okay.
Because a charismatic leader, like Obama was for universal health care in his first term.
I didn't know that.
He never got it done.
Okay.
He said, mark my words, by the end of my first term, we will have universal health care or something like that. Never happened. And that's a pretty far left position. But he was still widely popular among the Democratic Party even after his second term ended.
Okay.
They could have found someone who was like Obama. And I'm not saying Obama was good. He's a horrifying thing, especially in terms of war. If they had found somebody who was just charismatic, there wouldn't have been the Bernie uprising, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Now, there probably still would have been a big populist insurgency because that happened on the right and the left with Bernie and Trump. Trump probably still would have won. But the Democrats today would be fighting a very different fight. They would have, in my opinion, a real chance to defeat Trump. Because what I've always said is Trump is moderate on a lot of policy. And he's done great by the economy. He started no new wars. He wants to bring our troops back. He's really hitting a lot of these key important points that the regular Americans care about.
Yep.
If the Democrats had someone who had those exact same policies, but was clean-mouthed, to put it lightly,
Yeah.
I think they'd win.
Yep.
Easily. Because I think they'd really, really win. Trump does look when you listen to what Trump has to say, you realize he's not nearly as bad as the media makes him out to be. But Trump does behave in a way that's very easy to weaponize against him. Unfortunately for him, they use it. And there was a viral post on Reddit where Trump was doing the thing with his arm. You ever see this?
Yeah.
And someone commented, "I don't know how this wasn't the end of Trump as soon as it came out." And then people mentioned the locker room talk tapes and stuff like that. And the reality was, those people who are like, "How did that not end Trump?" never looked into what it was.
Exactly.
And the people who
They get their news from memes.
They get their news from memes on Reddit and on Facebook. And unfortunately for the Democrats, a lot of these people aren't going to vote. Like the young people who get their news from memes, it's not going to happen. I mean, we'll see how things play out.
What do you think about this Kanye running?
It's a conspiracy.
Supposedly he actually entered in and filled some paperwork for 2024.
2024.
I don't know if this is confirmed, but I saw it floating around. I think it may be BS, but he announced that he's running for president.
I think he's talking about 24.
Well, the reason I bring this up now is because there's a lot of people that are upset. I'm hearing people are upset that it's going to steal Biden's votes, right?
From the black community.
Right. And now it's funny because different people are getting angry at it for different reasons.
Right.
Okay. So we got people on the left that are like, how dare these racists say this? They're so racist to think that
that the black vote belongs to the Democrats.
The black vote belongs to Biden, that they would just, assume that just because Kanye's in, they're going to take it.
It's like Black Lives Matter activists who are saying this. Like,
Yeah.
how dare you? You don't have to vote for Biden.
Right.
What's that assumption?
But they're claiming that the Republicans are saying that it's the Republican side that's making that argument. It's like they're mad at the Republicans.
Well, that's true though. There are a lot of Trump supporters who are saying that Kanye running will take votes away from Biden because Trump's base is not going to leave Trump.
Right. No, exactly.
But
and the people who are voting for Biden, there was that poll that we talked about on Friday that they're not even voting for Biden, they're voting against Trump.
Yeah.
So it has nothing to do with Biden, really. It's just that they don't want to vote for Trump. Here's the reality. They would rather choose Kanye over Biden.
There was a poll put out by Political Polls on Twitter, and they just track all the different polling.
Right.
And they said, if you were voting today, who'd you pick, Trump, Biden, or Kanye? It was Trump in first place, then Biden, then Kanye. And the way I see it is, I think Kanye steals votes from both,
Yeah, I could see that.
But because Trump has the hardcore pro-Trump base, they will never
definitely.
abandon him.
Absolutely.
His advantage.
I agree.
Because Biden has no supporters, he just has anti-Trump people. Like, of course, there are some Biden supporters, but come on.
Yeah.
He got, 6 people to show up to, like, one of his, like, I'm not kidding.
I know. I saw it. Every time I think about that image, I just giggle.
He did a couple live streams that only got a few hundred people.
I know. It's sad.
That's insane. No one in this room right now is running for office, and we had, 56,000 people watching. It's like, if we can do that, and we're not interested in leading anyone's lives.
Put it in perspective,
That's
man.
really bad for Biden.
Wow.
Really bad. So here's what happens.
But the news was adamant about making sure everyone knew that 1 million people didn't show up in Tulsa. It's like, okay, great. But how many people showed up for Biden?
Biden's literally hiding in his basement. Spare me your concerns.
Seriously.
There's a lot of reasons. I think it's cause for concern that Trump couldn't muster the numbers he thought he was going to muster. That's fine. They don't seem to understand, though, that they pushed that hoax about TikTok kids.
Yeah.
It's like, it's a first come, first serve event. It's like you walk in the door, you get in the event. There's different reasons for why it didn't work out. But when I look at Kanye running, there are regular people who will be for Kanye, and that's the real risk.
I'm honestly interested to hear his platform.
I'd vote for him.
I want to hear. You'd vote for him before you even know his policies.
No,
it's like I want to know what he's talking about.
I know his policies.
Oh, okay.
So
do you?
I do, and I didn't say I will. I said I would. Meaning
semantics.
No.
Sure.
Let me clarify literally what I mean.
Okay.
Based on the things Kanye's already said, I would give him my vote.
Okay.
With some prerequisites. I didn't say I'm going to, or I will, or I plan on it.
Sure.
I'm saying that the door's not closed for Kanye West.
Okay.
A lot of people are going to look at Kanye and say, that's ridiculous. Why would you vote for him? No.
Yeah.
No, I would. He's got a lot to do.
He's a smart dude.
First of all, Kanye is an urban liberal. Yeah, he grew up in Chicago. He talks about social justice issues. I can dig that.
Yep.
And then he also talks about helping the American worker, bringing jobs back. And he talks a lot about things Trump has proposed.
I said
this,
too.
man, Kanye might be a unity candidate.
Yeah. Okay.
Chicago urban liberal black man.
Yeah.
Who understands those issues, has concerns for supporting the black community, and is all about helping the American worker and wears the MAGA hat. That dude will win in a landslide. I'm not kidding.
No, I agree.
I
see it.
When he speaks, people listen.
Yep.
Especially in the black community. And if Kanye comes out and he runs, I think he would just crush it.
Yep.
He would win. Could you imagine if he ran the Democratic ticket with a MAGA message, but having like a more moderate liberal approach?
I think the DNC don't want that though.
They couldn't stop Kanye West.
No, I know, but
First Lady Kim Kardashian.
He would be an independent. He's not going to run as a Democrat. The DNC would be like, nope, sorry, we cannot control you.
I don't know.
Sorry.
Man. So there's a funny post where they were like, I can't remember what it was, but somebody was ragging on, no, they weren't ragging on Kanye. They brought up the absurdity.
Okay.
And then someone said like a celebrity candidate whose wife is famous for like smut and stuff like this. And it's like basically describing Kanye and Trump.
Okay.
That's why it's like, I believe if Kanye ran as a Democrat, he would win hands down across the board, because Kanye is going to have the social justice message and the American worker MAGA message.
That's true.
Not perfectly. Republicans don't overwhelmingly support Kanye.
I don't think the DNC would have. Yeah, I don't think the DNC would have a choice.
They wouldn't be able to stop him.
It would just it'd be Kanye walking in the room and be like taking the mic.
Yeah.
This is mine now. I'm not going to let you finish. I'm taking this and I'm going to go be president. Peace.
He would win. I think he would win. And people underestimate him.
Yeah.
That's a big mistake. When he first started talking about Trump and Candace Owens and stuff, I do research, man. I was reading what young black men were saying.
Yep.
There were arguments on Twitter where young black men were saying things like, I got you, Kanye, like, yo, Kanye is what it's all about. You know, I'm glad you're speaking up. A lot of people saying things like they didn't know about Trump. They didn't F around with him, but Kanye said it. And so they started looking into it. Now they're down. And there were a bunch of black women who were like, don't listen to Kanye, man. He doesn't know what he's talking about. And seeing these arguments was really interesting, that Kanye, look, man, some people might look at him, the establishment elites will mock and belittle him. The same thing they did to Trump, ignoring what he's all about.
Yep.
Kanye is very much like Trump in a lot of ways.
I can see that.
He's an intelligent businessman. Now you can call him eccentric and crazy, but the dude clearly knows what he's doing, and he's smarter than you.
Yep.
Like, I don't see you becoming a billionaire. That dude has got talent.
Yeah, he is.
Now, maybe he does some things wrong, but I think it's stupid. People think Donald Trump's a moron. I'm like, dude, come on, man. You can criticize the guy because he became a billionaire off of $1 million from his family, but he still became a billionaire.
Yeah.
You can criticize him for all these things in the world, but I don't see you doing the work he did to make it.
Not only that, he became a president of the United States.
Yeah, I love that when he said, he's like, I ran for public office one time and I became the president of the United States.
Boss.
Everyone's laughing and I'm like, it's funny, man.
true,
He's a
dude.
funny guy.
Yep.
Kanye West, he's got a lot of people who look at him like he grew up in Chicago. He got the talent. He worked hard. He succeeded. And that success resonates with people because there are a lot of people who say, I want to be like him.
Yep.
Remember, what was it like? The American dream was to be Donald Trump?
Yeah, it was
is that a real quote?
I think so.
It was in different
Rap songs.
for a long time.
Yeah.
You know, just be like Trump.
How many people
It's insane.
see
how
his
it switched.
lifestyle and they want that? You know what show the people like it? We had the show Lifestyle, the Rich and the Famous.
Yep.
Then we had Cribs. People love to look at the extravagance and the success of wealthy, famous people.
Yep.
But a lot of these people strive to be that. They want to figure it out. They want that dream. Donald Trump came to these people and said, look at me and my golden toilets. You elect me and I'll make sure every American's got a golden toilet from sea to shining sea. I'm exaggerating, but he said he'd boost the economy, and he did.
Yep, he
and then I
did.
talked to so many people who said the economy was better than ever. I'm not exaggerating when I say this. I went to a furniture store and I was buying some furniture. This table that we're using right now.
Yep.
And the lady I was talking to her and she asked me what I did. And I said we do a political podcast. And then the conversation got into politics. And she basically said, I don't know about too much of that stuff. What I do know is this has been the best year of my life in terms of income.
Wow.
I'm like, really? And she goes, it's crazy. She's like, the numbers are just nuts. People are buying stuff. The economy is great. I heard that over and over again from various people. When we had contractors coming to do some work, they were like, it's been amazing for us. Just we're overbooked. I was trying to get a mini ramp built before this one. And every contractor I called was like, we're booked up, man. We're booked up for 6 months. And I'm like, man, the economy's too good. Too good of economy.
I don't think that exists.
What? Too good of economy?
Too good.
Look, when I'm trying to hire someone to build something and I got to wait 6 months.
That is too
I
good.
actually, I kid you
Let
not.
me get my camera.
Yeah.
It's tough, man.
Uh-huh. And so I said to the guy, I was like, can I pay you extra? Like, I understand the demand is through the roof. What if we just up the cost? It's like, I'm locked in, man. I can't do it. And I'm
Well,
like,
good thing you hired a carpenter.
well, so what I ended up doing
Little
was
do they know, I'm a carpenter.
I ordered a prefab ramp,
Yeah.
meaning they manufacture it in a facility and then ship the pallets out, like the big boxes.
Yeah.
And then I hired just some local handymen to come in, and it's like really, really simple instructions, so you don't need an actual carpenter or builder or anything like that.
Yeah.
The economy was great. So if Kanye West steps up, he's gonna have a lot of people who are just like, I want to be like him,
Yep.
and they're gonna vote for him no matter what.
Yep.
He is a famous celebrity who has proven his own success. Isn't he? He's a billionaire, right?
I don't know about that, but
Can you look that up?
Kanye?
Yeah, Kanye.
He is.
Kanye's
Is he?
a billionaire.
Yeah.
good for him.
Another billionaire president. I don't know. So here's what I mean when I say I would vote for Kanye. I saw him come out and talk about helping the American workers, setting up a factory in this country to produce his shoes, I think, here.
Awesome. I didn't know that.
Actions speak louder than words.
Awesome.
And that alone means, the door is open. I'm not saying it's a guarantee. Not for him, not for Trump, not for anybody. But if it comes down to 2024 and you got Kanye West running on some ticket and he's got a very pro-America, help the workers, help the middle class, and he talks about certain, more moderate liberal policies as a Chicago urban liberal, he's got a strong platform for a landslide victory.
Yeah,
he really does.
you're right. I agree.
I think he would win huge numbers.
I honestly, I would think he is serious about 2024.
I think so.
I think it's serious.
I love that when he was like, what you laughing at? Remember that?
Yeah. And it's like, because he's probably serious.
Yeah,
He said
for
on
sure.
stage, he's like, so when I run for president in 2024, everyone starts laughing and he goes, yo, what you laughing at? I'm like, woo, President Kanye. And it's funny to see so many people offended by it. They're like, it really is idiocracy if Kanye West gets elected. It's like, dude, look back in time.
Yeah.
You apparently don't know about some of our presidents, man.
Or the fact that they know him. They think that they know who he is.
They don't.
Just
Yeah.
because he is a celebrity on a pedestal that everyone can see, but you don't know him.
I just learned something about him
What?
from my quick Google search to make sure that
Oh.
I wasn't telling a lie about him being a billionaire. He owns almost $300,000 worth of livestock. Did you know that?
What? He's a farmer?
Yeah, I don't know.
Wow.
Yeah, I was like, what?
What kind of
That's
livestock?
cool. I don't know.
He's a billionaire though, right?
Yeah, he is. Yeah.
Kanye West.
Yeah.
You know what's really offensive to me is how the left runs away with conspiracy theories and never gets called out for it. You get one, like, I'll tell you what. There was an article from the Washington Post that said, could COVID have broken out of a lab? And it talked about the South China, it was like South Beijing University, where they said that they were researching bats, and that's where COVID may have emerged from the bats in the lab, and they escaped. Not that it was manufactured. And I get all of a sudden these far leftists screaming Tim Pool's a conspiracy theorist because I read the Washington Post article on it. The left right now, high-profile leftists, are screaming that Kanye West and Trump are conspiring to steal the black vote away from Biden.
Wow.
Which is racist and insane on its face.
Yep.
Could you imagine this? This is what I picture, and I love this image. It's like a thunderstorm, and like a car pulls up into like a secret corridor at the a tunnel into the White House, and Kanye like is like rushed out with a bunch of Secret Service agents. They open the door, they bring him into a dark room where like someone turns on a lamp, and it's Trump and Kanye, and Trump's like, "This meeting is off the record. Never happened. No recordings." And then Kanye pulls out like a folder. Yo, here's a plan. Here's a plan, y'all. And he opens it up. And then it's like, run for president. All the black people vote for Kanye. Biden loses. Trump wins. I'm like, do they think... I know it's silly, but like, do they actually think Kanye called Trump and he was like, hey, Trump, I'm going to help you win by running to steal the votes away from Biden? That's insane. Even if it was just Kanye West calling Trump to do it.
Or, it's way more plausible that Kanye just is a Trump supporter, which they have... been known to
Dude, of course.
be bros. And Kanye was hanging out with Elon, and they're just like, man, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna just blast it out.
They're probably
That's what I said.
Yeah,
I was
for
like,
sure.
they probably smoked up together, just making fun of stuff. And Kanye was like, what if I said I ran for president?
No.
Elon's like, yes.
They're sitting there. They're both baked.
Yeah.
And Kanye goes, yo, Elon, I'm running for president. And Elon's like, shut up, man. You're not really running for president. And then Kanye's like, yo, I'm serious, bro. And he goes, then tweet it. Say you're doing it.
Yeah.
And then Kanye's like, all right, I'll tweet it right now.
Elon being the meme lord that he is like,
and that's why Elon,
this is the truest meme that I've ever done.
You saw they were hanging out.
Yeah. Orange Bros.
So then when he tweets, then Elon's like, I got your back, buddy.
Yep.
And they're probably just
they're probably
to the
sitting
same
next to
room.
each other.
they're laughing. They're like high-fiving.
Yes.
2 billionaires.
Totally, man.
There was a funny post where someone was like, a sick joke played on the American people by billionaires. And I'm like,
Okay.
well, like,
Isn't that what the mainstream media is in
no,
general?
it's like Kanye West and Elon Musk laughing and joking about him running and tweeting it out.
Yeah.
It's like, you don't got to take it to a dark place. I think it's funny. Man, it's really crazy when you see Elon, coming out, Kanye coming out, so many people. When you start to listen to what Trump has to say, who are these people who are so terrified of a Trump second election?
I don't
Criminals?
know. I honestly, I feel like everyone who screeches at me on Facebook, I just want to ask them, have they ever actually listened to any of Trump's speeches? Any one? Have you listened to one of his speeches?
No.
I have a feeling none of them have.
I think
None of them.
Here's my question. Do you support Joe Biden and the establishment Democrats? Yes or no? I'd be willing to bet overwhelmingly the answer is no. All right, here's my response to that. So you have an option right now to re-empower the corporate establishment Democrats or let the bull rampage around inside the ivory tower for another 4 years. Do you really think the world will end in 4 years under Trump? If you really think Trump is all that bad, then don't you think 4 years of Trump will prove the corporate Democrats wrong and then the progressives will be able to win? If Trump destroys everything and you really believe he's the worst, and you don't have an opportunity to get your progressive or Bernie in right now, voting for Biden will put a Band-Aid over the wound and they'll all go back to sleep. Mm-hmm. But if Trump really is that bad,
no,
and he wins,
it won't put a Band-Aid. Sorry, I can't just let that flow. He's trying to keep the wound open. They're literally holding the wound open and saying, this is what the world is like.
What I'm saying
everyone is like this.
What I'm saying is the establishment Democrats are failing. Putting them back in power allows them to shore up their strength and their base and prevent progressives from actually winning.
Right.
However, if you really believe Donald Trump is the worst ever, give him another 4 years. Let him prove he's the worst, and then you come back and say, see, we warned you, America. Now it's time to get our progressive in, right? And if you don't agree with that and you think Trump is the best, then you vote for Trump. In the end, the best bet for any populist, left or right, at this point is a vote for Trump. Voting for Biden gives the establishment the reins again, and they will shore up all their defenses. They will bring in all of their cronies into the intelligence agencies and make sure no one ever shuts them out again.
Yep.
They fell off base. Here's what I want you to imagine. American Gladiators. Remember that show?
Loved that show.
Where they would fight
Great-
with those
great
big
show.
Q-tips.
Awesome.
Here's what happened.
Shoot tennis balls
In
at each other.
2016, the establishment was fighting with Trump, and Trump whacked one of the establishment guys in the face, and he's about to fall off.
Yep.
He's lost his balance. You vote for him, he gets his balance back. He shores up his defenses, and no one else can come in after the fact. If you let Trump knock him off and fall to the pit, they're out. You can claim Trump is worse than, and the worst they'll ever be, but I can't believe there are people actually advocating for Biden. Trump, and I think the problem is the propaganda for sure.
That's what
because
it is.
Trump is not that bad.
No, he's
at
not.
all. He did great by the economy. No new wars.
No, he's doing
got
a great
conservative-
job.
You got the judges. That's the big risk for liberals, like
Okay.
moderate liberals, is that all the judges, the conservatives, are winning over this one. I'll tell you what, man. If I had the choice between far left revolutionary judges and a conservative judge, I'm picking the conservative. Why?
Same.
I'm not a revolutionary.
Yep.
I'm a reformist, and I will take slow progress over total collapse and the burning down of everything, because
Boom.
I do love this country.
Lydia agrees. I
Yeah,
see her. I
100%.
see her shaking her head. Yeah.
And so
yeah.
that's that. It's the fault of the far left, because moderate, regular Americans, your average person, is like reluctantly pro-choice. They're like, okay, well, we don't want to celebrate, say, like abortion, but there's a rights issue, there's health issues, and we have to make sure we do this fairly.
Right.
But that's gone. That's completely gone. That argument is actually now on the moderate Republican side of the argument. You've got the pro-life, and then you've got the pro-life with some exceptions. Then you have the left, where it's like total abortion anytime, anywhere.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
And so regular people are like, I guess I'll take some losses if it means not burning everything to the ground.
Mm-hmm.
How about this? Super chats.
Oh, this is my favorite time.
Oh, I love
Smash
super
the
chats.
like button.
We get to talk to you
Ladies
guys.
and
Hey,
gentlemen.
what's up, everybody?
Ladies and gentlemen,
The UFO.
Oh no.
must be spun.
My goodness, the UFO is not spinning.
But wait, hold on.
What is happening?
We have 24,000 likes. I really
Yeah.
appreciate it, everybody.
Thank
we have
you.
about
Why, thank you, everyone.
48,000 or so people.
I tip my beanie to you.
If you could be ever so kind and take the little bit of extra effort to smash that like button, I mean it, because we've talked about this before. If every single person who tuned in hit the like button, YouTube would recommend us overwhelmingly to every single person.
That
They would
seems
hear what
to
we had
be
to say.
working.
I mean, I'm spinning the UFO for
Listen,
you.
it's doing everything
The
for
least
you.
you can do is smash the like button.
But it's true, though. Listen.
Look at this UFO. It's spinning for you.
Last week, we talked about this, about how like really does help. And YouTube recommends based on how long you watch and if the like button is being, hit by people. And then sure enough, we get recommended more, and the show gets bigger and does better. If you like our show, you want to help it out, it really does make a huge difference.
Thank you all.
And subscribe.
Thank you all.
Subscribe to the show if you want to see more. We do Monday through Fridays, 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. And we're also going to take your super chats. Now, mind you, it's getting more and more difficult because of the sheer number of people. Like, this is an absurd amount of people. You guys, we love all of you. Almost 56, was it 56,000?
56,
I don't know.
Was our peak.
Was the-
56-ish.
Woo.
That is way too
Wow.
many
That's
people.
amazing. So many people.
So,
Not enough people. I want to double that number.
We'll get
Tell your friends, tell your family members, tell them how awesome we are.
spread the good word.
Look at this cool monkey I've got on my shirt. He's
Wait.
a skateboarder.
Ah, cool.
Skateboarding
I didn't
monkey.
even notice it.
You know where I got this, right, Tim?
Christiania.
Christiania at the
Oh,
skate park.
cool.
Yeah, Christiania it's the free town. It's the autonomous zone
Yep.
in Denmark.
It
Why
actually
can't we
works.
have that, right?
No, that's
No, hold on. When they set up an autonomous zone in Denmark, it's like hippies eating hot dogs and stuff.
because it was started by hippies.
I know.
That's why. That's
Yeah.
that's the
The
difference.
autonomous zone we get here is
Not.
extremist lunatics with guns shooting people.
Right, right.
Yeah.
All right, let's read the super chat. Sorry.
All right, let's see. Let's start with the beginning, and then we'll start jumping around. So,
Is there any from I Be Queefing them?
I've been
yeah.
ripping them. Says Adam, you should tell the fans about the racist attack I suffered that I told you about on Twitter.
This man or woman, I'm not sure. This person was having a wonderful conversation in a park. Got attacked because he farted.
Oh, no.
Oof.
They farted. Sorry, I don't want
They?
to. I don't want to gender you.
Gender.
They. All right.
But
Good story.
you know what? I wanted Tim to read that because
It's very important.
he's one of the
OG.
OGs.
He is
one of
yeah,
the
man.
OGs. Got to give it to you.
All right, let's see what we got here. Lamo Sick says there was a massive Back the Blue pro-police rally yesterday in Wantagh. Is that how you pronounce it?
I think so.
Wantagh, on Long Island. I thought you'd be really glad to see so many people standing up against the hippie leftist BS. Well, hold on there a minute. I got no problem with the hippie leftist BS. If a bunch of hippies come out with like sundresses and flowers,
Yeah.
and they're like smoking weed and they're like, yeah, dude, like play the tunes. I'm like, right on, brother, go mind your business.
No, but this is the problem that I was talking about earlier, is because there's no clear person to be angry at. The hippie left, or the Black Lives Matter movement, or the Antifa, or it's like they're all doing different things and they're all having different arguments, and everyone's like, why is this going on like this? So it's, who knows what they're actually talking about, because the hippie left, they're not doing anything. They're the ones trying to grow the garden in Chaz, not the people shooting people.
So I will criticize them, right? To the extent that they essentially fill the ranks of these groups, which allow the extremists to do their thing.
Yeah, good point.
So long, look, if it's just the hippie leftists, I don't care if they're sitting in a park and smoking weed and talking about weirdo lefty stuff.
The earth used to be smaller and then expanded.
Hippies were the people who are like they're very libertarian in the sense where they're like, I'm gonna party with my friends and do drugs and stuff, and I'm like, hey man, you do you.
Yep.
That's liberty right there.
There it is.
It's the authoritarian leftists, the tankies, the commies, who are pretending to be hippies. That I'm not okay with.
Agreed.
All right, let's see what we got here. Lord Khalidbolg says, hey, Beanie Gang, taught in Japan for 3 years where there is institutional racism. Can't open a bank account or live in certain places, etc. Still easier there than coming back to the U.S. and being told you're evil every day. Yikes. Yeah, Japan, very racist.
Yeah.
Poofy says, starting off with good news first. JK, there is no good news lately. I don't know. President Kanye is funny. I guess it's bad news for a lot of people, though. Eggman says, have some cash. Keep up the good work. Appreciate it. D92 says, to all my Ruby, is it just me or does Black Lives Matter feel like it's going the exact same way that the White Fang did, i.e. a peaceful organization being overrun by radical extremists? I don't know what White Fang is.
What is that right above it? That super chat there.
It says, don't read that book, Adam.
Is that from Carolyn?
It's from,
is that what I see?
Carolyn Borisenko.
Oh, okay.
What book is that?
I will not read it. It is one of my how do I put it? I want to say SJW friends on Facebook that are trying to be mad. It's specifically the person who told me today that I wasn't allowed to have a voice because I'm white, and I think that's ridiculous. And they said, you know what? Read this book on white privilege. Basically,
you should read it.
Well, I asked her. I was like, have you heard of this? Do you know what this book is? And she's in the middle of white fragility.
Oh,
she's like, man, I need a break right now from reading this terrible piece of work.
Here's the way I see it, right? Let's say you're an expert on some martial art that's like the best.
Okay.
Or like the MMA guys always pick like, certain, martial arts, Brazilian jiu-jitsu, for instance.
Right.
If you know the specific tactics of other martial arts, you will be better when facing off against those people.
Oh, no, you're right.
Absolutely. You'll know their moves. You'll know their ideas. So I'm all about. This is why it's so important not to burn books.
Yeah, agreed.
Otherwise,
for sure,
there's a reason why they do it. They don't want you to learn the truth.
And she's breaking down white fragility for us.
It's so absurd. This stupid book.
I mean, have you seen some of her tweets about it?
Yeah, I have.
Oh my gosh,
stupid book.
It's bad.
Did you see Matt Taibbi's takedown?
Oh,
Matt Taibbi is a liberal, man, Rolling Stone writer, and he called it. What did he say? It was like Hitler-esque or something.
Yeah,
it's
Hitler-esque.
It's pretty bad.
Yeah.
It's really bad. Who
he
are
did
we
not
kidding?
like that book at
Yeah,
all.
it's bad.
All right, what do we got here? Winter Walker says, last Friday, Adam insisted most people see through the false media narrative and crazy critical theories that drive the riots. Disagree. I work in consulting, and with few exceptions, my coworkers and people I know all buy in. Now, to be fair...
It's the optimism in me.
Well, to be fair, we all have our bubbles. And so it may be certain corporate worlds have been inundated by this, and you may be seeing an exaggeration. However, it could also be true that we're seeing an exaggeration to the other side.
It's true.
Because we create a community of people who reject this. This is what scares me. We had a huge number of people watching live today. 56 or so thousand people was the peak. It's down now about 45. That's fine. There's a lot of people. Maybe we're everyone. What if that's it?
That's still a lot of people.
And think about this.
I doubt it.
No. Listen. I'm just saying, what if? How many of those people were also willing to support the channel with simply pressing a like button?
I mean,
I'm not trying to be silly with obsessing over it, but I mean it.
It's a small action you can
now
take.
look at what happened on Saturday. How dare these people light these fireworks off? We told everyone that the fireworks were illegal and
$50,000
they
fine.
should not do it. They're posting it on Instagram. Like, are you kidding me? Yeah, right there. That's liberty right there. That's freedom. What I'm seeing.
This is amazing.
Every city across a country, people were lighting fireworks. They're like,
listen,
we are celebrating because we're proud of this country.
That is the silent majority.
I know it is.
The most people who don't vote. The largest voting bloc is didn't vote.
And you know what drives them to vote if they ever never did vote?
Riots.
Look what's going on in our country right now.
Yeah, man.
They're going to vote. And many people are hitting me up. They're like, you know what? Thanks for speaking out, because I'm starting to speak out, which is, and I'm talking to you. If you're one of the people that said this to me, props, because that's what needs to happen. We need to have people standing up like Terry Crews. He doesn't care. He doesn't care what they think. He's like, no, I'm going to fight for what I believe is right.
I want to make sure I make something really clear too. Whenever I tell people, you can have your dreams if you fight for it, they say, easy for you to say. You like so. Well, I'll give you
Funny.
I'll give you a real example. When I was working for Fusion and I had a fat salary, they're like, easy for you to say, you get paid a lot of money working for a Disney company. And I'm like, do you know how I got this job? Do you know why I got the job? So here's what I'll tell you, man. When it came to Vice, people are like, how come you get to travel all around the world? They won't even let me go out and do a shoot in Brooklyn. Like, we can't film anything. They won't let me leave. I'm like, right, because you have to bring yourself. The first thing they asked me when I said I wanted to work for Vice, have you ever traveled internationally? I have. You have a passport? Of course I do. You've covered conflict in other countries? Yes, I have. Okay, works for us.
Yep.
If you don't have that experience, they're not going to assume the liability for you. You have to go and do it. And people always say, you know, it's easy for Terry Crews to speak up. He's got FU money. He's a famous celebrity. And the reason he's able to have that money and that success is because he's the kind of person who won't back down.
Yep, exactly.
He knows what he wants. He knows what to fight for. He also, remember when he talked about that guy assaulting him? He was one of the few men who stood up and said, I'm not standing for this.
Yeah, man.
And he was one of the few males in the Me Too movement calling out the abuse.
Huge respect.
That huge respect. That dude takes no BS.
I love it.
So even right now, they're attacking him on Twitter. He's like, I don't care. I'm right.
Yep.
That's the thing. Carve yourself a space where you have that freedom. It might not be easy to get started, but the last thing you want to do is there's several paths you can go down, and the path of least resistance will leave you as a wad of cookie dough. But if you go the hard route, you will carve yourself out of stone, and that will make you impervious to all the BS they throw at you. So maybe it's easy for us to speak out because we have a platform, because the show is successful and all that stuff. But look, we've faced threats of demonetization, of censorship, of the channel being banned. Like I mentioned, I talked about the Washington Redskins, and they flagged the video for demonetization because it was hate speech to mention the Washington Redskins?
Football team?
And
What the heck?
and the debate? Yeah. But you know what? I'm still going to talk about it. Look, when COVID first broke out, people were saying to me, because I don't swear and because I wouldn't say the name of that CIA guy, that I was giving up and giving into the censorship. And I'm like, listen. There are lines. I don't need to say the guy's name and I don't need to swear. But when it came to COVID, I was told explicitly by YouTube, we will demonetize every single video if you talk about this. And I said, okay. And then I went to make like 80% of my videos about COVID because it was the huge story and it was important.
Yep.
And revenue went poof into the gutter. And I said, well, too bad. I know, too bad. And then finally, after a couple months, YouTube relented and said, okay, we'll let everyone talk about it now. And they created a special category called like serious analysis or opinion around topics like COVID. They opened the door finally. And it was only because people like me were like, I am talking about this and I don't care what you do with demonetization.
So on that point right there, to bring it back to the super chat that this person basically just said, I don't think what Adam said last Friday is viable because I'm seeing it. You need to speak up. You need to talk to these people. I don't agree with what you say. We have to not be afraid of that. Like Tim is not afraid of it. Sure. He isn't afraid to talk about COVID because that's what we're all talking about. We're in a pandemic. How are we not going to talk about COVID? Of course.
Now,
so
look.
If you don't agree with your coworkers and they're talking political at work, which they shouldn't be, they should just be working, save it for after work. And you shouldn't be fired. I shouldn't be reprimanded by who I thought was friends of mine just because of me becoming politically aware of what's going on in the world, and I know that they have no idea what they're talking about because all they give me is gibberish. I'm not going to stop talking. I'm not going to not say something to them. I am speaking up to them, and it's great. And funny enough, I've got other friends that I haven't talked to in a long time hitting me up and going, you know what? Hey, what up? What's up, man?
And
thank you. Thank you for speaking up.
And the secret is you've lost no friends.
You're absolutely right.
Anybody who's going to be like, F you, I'll never talk to you again, was not your friend.
That's not your friend.
Not your friend at all.
Yeah.
Yep.
These people who are telling you to disavow your family are scary.
Agreed.
It's really scary, man. There was a viral post where it was on Reddit. I think it may have been the Donald. I'm not sure. But they said, they were like, 7 years ago, my sister came out as a lesbian, and I sat down with her and told her that I loved her. And, no matter what no matter how she lived her life or who she chose to love, I'd be there for her. Today, she won't even talk to me anymore because I told her that I was voting for Trump.
Wow. And
that was like, whether it's true or not, it's an internet post. But, I mean, I believe it. Maybe that's my bias, but of course I believe it. These people are fervent.
I feel it. I'm getting it firsthand. So
yeah.
I know it to be true.
Let's read some more of these. We got Alvin. He says, vote Kanye to save the country. You know it. Spork Witch says, I live in Rochester, New York. I've literally had people say they won't speak with me because my jacket had an American flag on the shoulder. Almost all the locals are vocally pro-Antifa, not just Black Lives Matter. There's no question the left tore down the statue. Whoa. I believe it, man. I believe
it too.
But I do wait just in case because they try to bait you. Then they can go like, and they all blamed the left, but it turns out it was the white supremacists. Like, okay, I'll wait for the evidence.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I have a bias. I think I know who tore it down.
Somebody
for sure.
said Douglas got up and walked away, and I was like, yeah, I could see it.
That's
oh
funny.
Man,
he's like, I'm out of here.
He went to dive into the. You know what I was thinking?
Go somewhere where someone appreciates me.
Somebody made a point about with this car accident in Seattle. All the news reports keep saying a white Jaguar hit this woman, and they won't talk about the driver anymore.
Right.
And so they were like really funny.
The luxury vehicle.
I think maybe it was Ben Shapiro. He said inanimate objects have somehow come to life and are now
like the girl in Atlanta.
Yeah, and I was thinking about it, and I'm like, in Toy Story, how the toys are sentient and alive and can move around.
Yeah.
What makes something a toy?
Right.
Just like by saying it is. In which case, you can make any, inanimate object, Frederick Douglass, for instance, a statue. Mm-hmm. He's actually an action figure. Close your eyes. He gets up and walks away.
Yep. Yes, exactly.
All right, let's see. Gumberculi says, I learned about you from my friend JJ. Over the last month, I've noticed your viewers have rising nightly. The three of you rock. Keep up the good work. Buy some new board bearings with the 20 spot.
Oh, thanks, man.
You got it. I ride Swiss Bones. I think I'm using Swiss Super 6.
I have no idea what I'm riding.
You're riding like the best of the best. We got the best.
I'm riding the best of the best.
The best
Best
of the best.
Tim hooks up his employees.
He does.
My minority boss is the best.
That's right. Don't you forget it.
Hashtag real name says, do you think there should be laws to separate commentary and opinion from news reporting so that there is less corruption of important information, like social media platforms being platforms? I don't. I think the issue is cultural.
Yeah, this is a sticky situation. I made a post the other day about, it should be illegal to like mention the race in the headlines of people.
You think so?
Well,
I disagree.
I actually disagree also now because I posted it and people were like, that's not free speech, and I'm like, you know what? You're right. I can change my mind. I'm allowed. I reserve that right always, and everyone should have that ability to change your mind. But it makes sense. You got people that are sometimes sure it could make sense, but I think it's ridiculous when they get to pick and choose. It's either always or never.
It's look, man.
It's like they're pushing their narrative, and people just need to know that people do that. If everyone's aware that there are mainstream media outlets that push their narrative that they want to trigger your emotions, then they don't trigger your emotions anymore because you're aware of what's going on.
The problem is there is no culture. There's no unifying culture.
That's true.
Mm-hmm.
So you have people who are literally
America's
saying,
all over the place.
A lot of these journalists are just like, you know what, man, the ship's sinking. I'm going to take what I can before it hits the.
I'm going to try to get as many clicks as possible because that's what I'm paid for.
Why do I care about what happens to other people?
Yep.
They don't. There's no sense of community. There's no sense of America.
So
but anger gets the clicks.
Yeah.
That's almost what our culture is nowadays.
Yeah. Rage clicks.
All right, let's see what we got here.
Yep.
Dead Twist said, red pills taste the best. That's a big old super chat. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, let's see what we got. Alvin says, I want to see a Kanye featuring Trump diss track on Joe Biden. That would be amazing.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
That would be good. That would
That'd
be good.
Wow.
Let's
Trump,
make this happen.
they really need. Trump would do so well.
Oh, yeah.
Grilled Cheese says, the Donald.win for real news and memes from Trump's base. Now, I mention the Donald.win often. That's the URL. You type it in. And the reason I do is because if you go on Reddit, you can see the far left. Just like that. Yeah. Everything is far left. And I personally believe we need a healthy balance of the news and we absorb.
Yes.
And by Reddit excising the Donald community, it is now it's like someone only eats junk food.
Yep.
Well, you got to eat your vegetables too. So that's why I always tell people, look, if you want to see the other side of that conversation, it's the Donald.win. And it's only because I think people should be reading sources from across the board that I shout them out and not any specific leftist Reddits.
I gotta spin the UFO for Tim right now.
Oh,
Do
yeah.
it. Yeah.
Because of what he just said. This is some truth bombs right here.
Well deserved.
Alternative JK90 says, Super Chats got lost many times, but here it is. Japan is the only nation outside the U.S. that has a constitution similar to ours. General MacArthur rewrote their government inspired by the founding fathers. It's time to cancel anime, the Olympics, and the PS5. I like Japan, man. Japan's fun.
Yeah. I don't know a lot about their politics.
Me neither.
I can't really speak for it.
Nightmarish Vision says, haha, Orange Man bad. One free holiday to Japan, please. Seriously, though, left and right wing are not real things in the same way libertarian and authoritarian are. It's like an alien telling you they are on the mauve or teal wing. I agree. You're like, wait, what does that mean? Right. We got a bunch of super chats. Look at this. People are celebrating. It's like fireworks. Cody says 50K viewers, mad props.
Oh, yeah.
We got J Max's 51K viewers. It's amazing. Keep it up.
Thanks for tuning in, everybody.
Dead Twist says, purged from Twitter after close to a decade of messing with Anons from before Sabu, but I'm a problem. Wow, really crazy, man.
It's a shame.
Yeah, well, Parler, that's what it's for. I tell people, like, use Parler and use Twitter. Use them both. It's crazy now. You can see Tommy Robinson, Milo, Laura Loomer, all these people who are purged right there in Parler talking again. Mm-hmm. It's like, that's what it's for. Hey, man, these people exist. They didn't just go away. They've been doing their thing, and you need to know what they're talking about because it's important, especially if you think they're influential.
True.
Ryan McMillan says, hello, Tim, Adam, and Lydia. Thank you all for the live stream.
Hello.
Also, with the stories coming out of the media at this point in time being framed in support of far left agitators, do you think there might be legal action taken against them by the state? For the media? The media is protected. They will never be able to come after the media. It's just they're always gonna. I like the First Amendment, man. The problem is cultural.
Did you see that Ted Cruz put forward that bill that mayors can be responsible for rioting, for what happens after like rioters?
This is interesting. I'll have
Very
to look that
interesting.
up.
Yeah, check that out.
I'll check it out.
Cornelius says, people say they don't know what to do. That's not true. People actually want you to tell them what to do. If this show wants to make an impact, set a common weekly goal for your base. You have a voice. We want to help. Use it. All right.
Easy. Speak out.
Well,
it's going to be that every single week.
I'm not a big activist. You know what I mean?
That's okay. Leave it to me.
Adam, you can be the activist.
Look, speak out. That's it. I'm speaking out. I'm losing.
Be respectful.
What I thought were friends.
Yeah. Be polite.
Be informed.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's the number one. Do research. I want all of the knowledge. All of it. I want all of it. Give it to me. Teach me.
Knowledge is power.
I'm going to do my own research. I'm going to read both sides. I'll read these books that someone doesn't want me to read so I can understand where their perspective lies.
You should read the Antifa handbook.
Probably should.
It's lying around
probably
somewhere.
should.
It is. It's here somewhere.
Yep.
JW says, Tim, having the left's ideology is worse than being left on policy because they trick you on policy. Then they have you vote for their ideology, and when you vote for their ideology, you have chaos. You take away God. You lose your soul. Now, the way I interpret this, it's true. They'll tell you, like, don't you want free healthcare?
Yeah.
And you're like, wow, free, thinking it's just given to you. Mm-hmm. It's impossible.
Impossible.
Everything must be created, like built, or the labor must be done by someone. Free doesn't mean anything.
Correct.
In capitalism, I can be like, Adam, here's $1 in exchange for you to do something. And you can say, no. Man, I tell you what, I've had so many business meetings that are so much fun where they're like, we want you to do a thing for us in exchange for this. And I say, no. And they're like, I mean, we're going to offer you a lot of money. And I'm like, no. And they're like, okay. I'm like, if I don't want to do it, I ain't going to do it.
Yeah.
You can't make me do it. Now, imagine if you lived in socialism and they come to you and say, we're going to make you do this job because you're best suited for it. No. The gulag sounds nice.
Yeah.
How about that? You break up some rocks. That'll get you, educated.
Yeah.
And then you're going to be like, fine, I'll do whatever you say.
Yeah, they're trying to push the system on the society that has been built on a completely different system. And that would only, if they did switch, it's like filling up the gas tank and then just driving out into the middle of nowhere with no gas forever, ever again. And by the time you get to no more gas, that's where you are. And then you're stuck there forever. And you then die.
It's the easiest trick, man. It's like, hey, I'll give you $1 million if you do this job. And then after you do it, they say, I don't have $1 million.
Right.
Thanks for doing the work. Bye-bye.
Yep.
And then they use force to remove you. So they come out and they say, vote for us, and we'll give you all of these sweet, whatever you want. The sweet nothings whispered into your ear.
Yep.
They can't actually give that to you. It's a trick. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Well, if you haven't already,
smash the like button.
All right, I was going to say follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Timcast.
Well, I took the mic from you.
All right.
I Kanye'd
follow,
you.
That's right.
Follow at Adam Krigler on
me.
Instagram and Twitter.
Yeah.
And you can follow at Sour Patch Lids, LYDS on Twitter. And subscribe. Hit the notification bell. We do the show Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. We usually end around 10, but I'll read a couple more super chats for y'all before we sign off for the night.
Nice.
So we have this one from Benjamin McDonald. He says, have you guys heard about the Unity 2020 plan? I think it's the best shot we've got to get real leadership into the White House. I have. I need to read more about it.
Same.
But it really does just sound like a third-party run. And I don't see why it would work when the left doesn't want moderate policy.
Right.
Maybe that's the idea, to push out the far left. But if moderate liberals aren't paying attention, they're not going to care. They're going to say, I'm just voting against Trump.
Yep.
The far left takes the reins and says, follow us and we'll bring you to victory. And they say, okay. So I'm not convinced a third party run would work.
Not in this current system anyway.
Yeah. St. Miles says, reading all these comments, Lydia will be able to start her own religious movement as the unseen goddess voice of TimcastIRL. Spin the UFO to keep them in line.
I will do it.
That's right.
I'm spinning it.
We got this UFO and it would not spin. And then people would be like, you need to get it going again. And I bought this duster. And so I was like, hey, watch this. I can spin it with a duster. And now it's Adam's duster.
I should scribe my name into it.
The levitating UFO with it. Thomas Wholesale says, hey, to change the tune, can you give us an idea of what music you're into? Lots of love from Liverpool, UK. Muse.
I love Muse also. Tool. Led Zeppelin.
Borns. I've been listening.
Incubus.
We've been listening to a lot of Borns lately.
Sublime.
And
Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Mm-hmm.
But that's like the old stuff. Like, what have we been listening to
It's
lately?
what I listen to.
I really like Robert DeLong.
It's what brought me
Robert
up.
DeLong's good.
Yeah.
That's my upbringing of music. I mean, I can't just start talking about music without listing the greats that have carved. I'm a musician, so like those that I just named are very heavy in my influence.
Muse for me is big,
Yeah.
I love you, but the government is taking over. It's like all of their songs.
Yeah, Muse is a new love for me. I love them, but I just discovered them basically like, I don't know, a year or two ago.
All right, check it out. Pat Damiano says, shout out from Rochester, New York. They did my boy Freddie wrong. Be on the lookout for a deck coming your way from Crudco Skate Shop, local place around here. Cool.
Very
Dope. Thank you.
Strange KE says, in the BLM propaganda video, they mentioned rap. Rap is ruining my generation. How can we fix the problem of rap? Rap is a political tool. Change my mind.
That is cultural.
I think back to a lot of old school rap, and it was actually, a lot of it was kind of smart. And then you got this whole generation of just swearing and being rich.
Yeah.
I don't care for, I'm not criticizing the style of music. There's really bad rock too, with really awful messages. I think the problem is, for me growing up in Chicago, we have a cultural issue. People don't care about this country. They don't know what it means. They don't know what it represents, because we're so you know what we are as Americans?
What?
Every single one of us are the child of rich parents. Everyone. We when you ask people, what does the 4th of July mean to you? Most people would just be freedom,
Fireworks.
4th of July. And you ask them, what was the American Revolution? And they can't tell you the finer points.
That's true.
It was one of the first times we actually implemented these ideas of self-government. Mm-hmm. Before this, it was divine providence. The kings just had control, hereditary monarchy. And it was an ideological revolution. All of a sudden, we are we're going to be in charge of ourselves.
Yep.
And that was huge. From that, you ended up with Frederick Douglass, who was like, hey, remember when you said that? Yeah? Do you really believe it or don't you? And like, well, I do. Okay, well, in that case, we're all free. Fine, I guess. And then we fought and everyone died and, but then we ended up winning freedom. That's what it really means.
Yep.
That's what it really means.
I heard an awesome song a friend of mine posted by Tom McDonald.
Oh yeah, me too.
Someone just said that.
Yeah.
Tom McDonald,
Dude,
man,
he's on it.
He spits fire.
He's talented.
I'm from Chicago, and I grew up in the I don't know, Atmosphere, Sage Francis. I went and saw them a bunch of times in some small venues in the city. So I like hip hop, and Tribe's awesome. Yeah, I love Atmosphere though. But Tom McDonald, man, he kills it.
Terry Clark said, "Dude, listen to Tom McDonald songs,
Yes.
Coronavirus and White Boy."
Boom.
Dude,
I'll
he's
do it.
counterculture.
He's good.
We'll do it right when we sign off.
Yeah, he's good.
Which
Yeah.
unfortunately is happening right now.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Thanks for showing up, everybody.
this is the biggest show we've had yet, apparently.
Thank you, everyone.
So thank you all for smashing the like button, for coming
Smashing
and hanging
it.
out.
Yep.
Thanks for subscribing if you haven't do this already. And again, follow me Twitter and Instagram at Timcast.
Yep.
Follow Adam at Adam Krigler.
That's correct.
And at Sour Patch Lids, LYDS.
And thanks to all our new members. I see a bunch of and all of our members in general. You guys all support us every month, so I really appreciate you.
We appreciate
There's a lot of expansion in the works. COVID really jammed everything up.
That is an understatement.
Man, I'm
That's all I can
stoked.
say.
For one thing, let
That's all
me
I
tell
can
you, we are
say.
leaving New Jersey.
Yes. Oh, thank
It's
God.
official. We are officially leaving New Jersey.
There's going to be a facility, to say the least.
Ooh, all
There's-
things I
hold
didn't
on.
know we could say.
There's going to be guns.
Yep.
There's going to be bows and arrows and
Yep.
skateboarding.
Yep.
There's going to be new content, gaming, vlogging.
I'm excited.
It is a process. It is a process. COVID really,
I'm very excited.
the pandemic shutdown really slowed everything down, unfortunately.
We're getting there.
Yeah.
So hopefully this is it. It's happening soon. We will be there soon, and it is going to be amazing.
Yep.
I'm really excited for the gun portion because we might actually have, I'm pretty sure we're going to have our own indoor shooting range.
Oh my gosh, yes.
That's come on. We're gonna do it.
We're going to have our own.
Are you
We're
kidding
gonna
me?
make it
Come on.
happen.
We're
We've
gonna.
got what we need. So this is going to be huge. It's going to be huge, man.
Oh yeah.
Thanks for hanging out, everybody.
Good night,
Make
everybody.
sure to stick around. We'll be back tomorrow at 8 p.m. live on this channel, and we will see you all then.
Bye.